Calling to order the Municipality of Monroeville's budget hearing for November 4th, 2021. It is approximately 6:30 p.m. If you'd all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This is our second budget hearing. We had one last week. This is our second one that we have to do by Borough Code. There'll be no voting taken this evening about the budget. We're still just trying to learn about the budget through the department heads, but there'll be plenty of time for council to deliberate the budget, and hopefully it'll be passed at a later time, more than likely in December. This evening, we do have a quorum. Everyone is here on council, with the exception of Mr. Wilson and Mrs. Gatos. I'm going to start the meeting with opening up for public comment on budget issues only. Does anyone here like to ask any questions about the budget? Now would be your time to do so. Seeing none, we're going to move over to our department heads, and we're going to start with Tara Griesok from the director of the Senior Citizens Center.
Somebody's got to get home to.
Kevin, give me a page number.
Okay, well, Pat told me I only had 3 minutes, so. And I told him that was my plan anyways. So. I'm gonna make it really simple. I normally give you like a big folder and all that stuff, but I really don't have anything. As you know, our department has kind of been hit pretty hard with the pandemic. We're starting to get back to normal, but we are still not fully there yet. There are still a lot of guidelines we have to follow through the Pennsylvania Department of Aging. So at this time, we are not doing any large events inside the building. No luncheons, no special events, no social clubs, no traveling on the bus.
Tara, what page number is your budget on?
I am actually
91.
not
Okay,
sure.
thank you.
I
Sorry.
wouldn't give bullets. We are offering a lot and offering as much as we can. The fitness center's open. We have various smaller social clubs that are meeting. We have informative talks. Smaller social events. We had 2 large social events outside. We had our hot dog roast and our burger bash at the community park this year. Both had over 170 people in attendance. We felt because we were outside and we could socially distance that it was safe to do that. But at this time, we are not allowed to do that inside the building. But attendance keeps increasing every month. More and more people are coming in every day. Seniors are tired of being locked inside. Just today we signed up, 6 people. Because I was all by myself today. It was only me and 2 other staff, and they were off. We got a lot of new people coming in too that are exploring the senior center. That's good to see as well too. So with that being said, we're still just trying to get back to our normal state, or our new normal is what I call it. Like, I don't feel we'll ever go back to what we were. A lot of the cleaning guidelines and things like that, I don't feel will be going away. So we've had to change how we look at things, change how we do things, and still be able to provide as much as we were and even more than we were. We're just offering, it's basically made me and my staff explore of how to be creative in new ways. A lot of it's doing things outside. How can we program outside when need be? So I didn't want to be dramatic in changing my budget in any way. One, because for 2 years, almost 2 years, I haven't had to use it at a full capacity like I was prior to COVID. So it's very hard for me to justify changing it in any way until I know where we're going to be, or when we're in a more stable state. So we have it planned that we're gonna bring back the larger events in the spring once the weather breaks. We hope at that point, COVID's at a more stable, the COVID pandemic's in a more stable state, more people, they have the vaccinations under control, that we can bring those back. We have them set for that, like our first special event, our first luncheon, we have scheduled for March. Unless something dramatic happens, with the state of COVID. But with that being said, like I said, I didn't have any justification to change anything. Change a few things here and there, and it was more of just working with Josie to put things in line items that were a little bit more feasible. So you will see, like, under equipment line item, there was never anything there before. Now there's $3,000 there. The reason for that is we did have a power surge a couple months back. Not only my building, but a couple of the other buildings, municipal buildings, got affected by that. Our building got affected quite a bit by that. We lost our server. We lost our sound system, our complete sound system. We lost the electronics on several pieces of our fitness equipment. And through replacing all of that, that's when Josie and myself and Tim realized that we needed to kind of re-itemize where we had money. So the $3,000 has been added because I was planning on taking out of building maintenance and repair, but when you're replacing a sound system, it's a piece of equipment. It's not necessarily you're replacing a part of the building. So that's why you see that increase. You never know if things like what we've made changes and hope that that will not happen again, that we've kind of covered ourselves. Tina will also explain that both my building and the other buildings we've talked about, I think she has it in her budget, or Josie has it somewhere, where we're gonna power surge the buildings completely at the breakers. So, because a lot of the problem was, we have how many pieces of fitness equipment. If it goes in and blows, we were fortunate it only blew 2 pieces. It could have been way more dramatic than that. So it's a double backup to put. We had power surgers. It blew the power surgers. It went through that. It came through the cable and blew some of the TVs. So we have power surgers in the cable line, through the cable lines now. So we're protected, but it's also beneficial to doubly protect ourselves where the power source comes into the building. So that will be under Tina's budget line. But again, there's other pieces of equipment that are getting older. We just don't know where we stand with them, some of the things like that. Every year we do a big project. This year it was expanding the fitness room and changing the entrance of it and making it in the front lobby so it was more visible and a better safety precaution to have it where our staff could see the entrance. That was our big project that Public Works helped us with this year. Every winter when it kind of gets slow for them, that's when they kind of help us with things. The year prior to that was changing the flooring in the big social hall. This coming year is changing all the lights to LED. It will also be working on remodeling the back patio area so that we have an outdoor functional space. I mean, that obviously won't be till, the weather breaks in the spring, but Paul, myself, and Mike Strom have been working on the plans for that. So that's our big project for next year, but that will all be factored in under our building repair and maintenance budget, which I did not increase. It will all fit under that.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question, Tara. Is that enough?
Yes, it should be.
It should be?
Yeah.
Sure.
Part of it will be that I have in our budget to pay for the basic cement, different things like that.
Right.
Some of it will be senior council will contribute to it. So it's not all being paid for by you. Senior council will contribute to some of that as well.
And you're also saying that the building surge protection's under the IT department?
Mm-hmm. I believe so. She has, I don't know if it's her or maybe Paul, I'm not sure. They had several of us, not just my building, but Public Works, and I don't know if they did it here too, but they had not multiple buildings that were included in on the quote for that. So, but yeah, other than that, I didn't change anything. The operational budget, capital budget is probably my biggest, place where I've asked for stuff with our building being as old as it is.
You want to move over to that?
Yeah, just Tim
Yeah.
wanted me to briefly go over that.
Yeah. Actually, does council have any questions about the operating budget at this point?
So just in brief, capital budget, basic maintenance stuff, building, roof repair. We have a flat roof just as the municipal building does, in the Public Works building, so we have the continuous problem of leakage. We haven't totally sealed that building in probably 10 years that I know of. Mike Strom has helped get me a quote to kind of do the same procedure that was done to the animal shelter. So you'll see that listed in the capital budget is my top priority. The next is our heating units, which is probably which is the biggest ticket item under our capital budget. We have 11 units for our building, and all of them are 20-plus years old. We're at the point now where our building maintenance foreman, John Float, is having a hard time finding parts. We're just kind of babying it. So that's obviously at the top of our list too, to get those all replaced. The other thing touches the security of the building. Everyone knows that's a big, has always been a big discussion of mine, a big concern of mine, to make sure that the building is up to par when it comes to the safety of the members and the staff at the building. We did address a lot of that just through COVID with changing the front desk area and how people enter the building, how people come and register for things. So a lot of the security issues were kind of taken care of because we had to do things because of the requirements through COVID guidelines. But I still want to add an emergency PA system, as well as a camera system throughout the building. That's in there. Another big important light item under capital budget is changing the flooring in the fitness area. Right now, we are not COVID compliant with that. Right now, it's the same carpet as you see in here, which I cannot totally disinfect like I'm required to do on a daily basis, mop, disinfect it. So we really need to have a discussion about installing athletic flooring in there, so that it's more durable, it's shock absorbent. It's basically what should have always been put in there, but when we initially did the fitness center, we never thought it would grow to the capacity that it did, and it would get used as much as it did 10 years ago when we put it in, 10, 12 years ago. So with putting the athletic flooring in, we would be able to disinfect that on a daily basis.
And how much do you think that would be?
With us adding it was $25,000, but we expanded the fitness room this year, so it'd probably be an additional 5 or 6. So you're talking about $30,000 for them to come in, complete. That's total installation as well, because they have to move all the equipment out, lay the flooring, put all the equipment back. So that's for the cost of the materials and the installation of the flooring. And then you're talking like you don't need to replace that for, that's pretty solid. It'll last years and years before you have to replace that again. And then another one is extending the parking lot. Prior to COVID, we had a daily issue with not having enough parking in the building, especially when you have seniors that require handicap accessibility. A lot of them were parking up in the upper lot near the library when we were having bigger events in the very back. So I have talked with Paul Hugus and his staff about extending the parking lot where we have a big grass area as you're going around the back of the building where our storage shed is. That would get us another 20 to 25 spots. I also just discussed with Paul and his staff and Nicole, also maybe working with the library to extend, an idea was to extend the parking lot up the one side of their parking lot the same as it is when they come down from their parking lot to ours. That is not part of the quote that I have. That's just if, you know, talk that, I know they are talking about doing a new project in their building, and I suggested to Nicole the parking situation the concern we had with parking and extending it up that way too, if they were to go forward with their project. Other thing is replacing carpet in the hallways and all our program rooms. That was done back in 2004. So that's a major renovation that we need to look at. The other thing is renovating the large social hall. The room dividers are the original room dividers from when the center first opened, so that's another thing we're kind of babying. And we do section that room off into 3 different areas on a daily basis. So those dividers are used on a daily basis, and they're in dire need of being repaired. Another thing that when we had the FBI come out and do a security report, they recommended that we had doors that had glass that you could see through. Right now, you can't see into that room, people can't see out, so you have no idea if there was a security issue at any time. So also in that remodel would be replacing all of our doors, both the 3 exterior doors, emergency doors, and the 3 doors into the 3 different program areas to have glass and be more compliant with that. Replacing all the ceiling tiles, different things like that. That's it.
Very good. Council, any questions?
Council has to realize if you're on the third, she's on the 3rd page from the last.
Yeah, I saw that.
In the capital. Now, that's all spread over 5 years, a lot of
Right.
stuff she's talking about. It's not all like next year or something.
No.
Correct.
It's spread over 5 years, okay?
Yeah, and once again, that is, the capital improvement program is a draft. It's very early on.
It's our wish list.
Yeah,
as they
more, it's
say.
bigger items, long-term for all the departments, more than likely that this will not be passed for this year. But if there are no further questions for Tara, we'll go on to the next department.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Thanks, Tara.
Thanks, Tara.
Thank you, Tara.
Good job.
Council, we're going to be hearing from the tax office. Our tax collector, Pat Fulkerson, and Doug Cumming. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Tara, you were 20 minutes.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Forgot about
Yeah.
Pat, you can make up for it. How
I
about
hope so.
There you go.
that? Pick up the time.
Anyway, I want to, there are a few things before we go into the expense budget. I'd like to thank everybody who went out and voted on Tuesday, and thank them for voting for us. I wanted to also congratulate the new council person that's going to be here. No, a couple of them. All going to be in.
4.
4 of them.
Yeah. 4.
Yeah. And I also want to think about thanking the people who serve our country, because Veterans Day is coming on the 11th, and my favorite birthday is the Marine Corps birthday is on November 10th.
Excellent.
Excellent. So anyway, that's all. And then also, before I go, is I also want to thank my employees, because they have done a super job over the past year. And we kept the building open, and people really appreciated that. So I want to thank them. They just do a fantastic job. The operating budget, we haven't increased anything, but
What's the page number, Pat?
page
13.
13. We have inside there employee that we want to hire. We've been trying to hire this employee for the last 5 months, and it's a difficult situation. Tim and I have agreed that we just don't want a body. We want somebody with a background in accounting and taxes. Until we find that person, then we'll employ that person. And that's what is in the budget. This budget this year will be reduced by that particular salary. So that's the major event in our operating budget. Anything else is just normal from last year to this year.
Pat, why would you cut that position out? What if you find somebody? How are you gonna pay them?
No, it's in the budget.
Oh, I'm sorry, I
It is in the
misunderstood. I
budget.
apologize.
It's, we haven't.
You
our budget-
you haven't spent any of that for
It's
this
6
year.
months.
Since February.
Yeah,
February,
so
March.
you'll
So-
see.
Okay, I
That'll just roll
misunderstood
into
that.
next year.
I'm
That's
good.
all right.
I'm good.
Well, she got paid until April, even though she left. That's the way
So the job is still posted.
yes. And it's
We
still
had
out.
it
And
advertised in the Times Express about a month ago, and we received no resumes. As Pat knows, we did interview somebody back in May or June, and she was a very good candidate, but there was a possibility, strong possibility, she was moving out of Monroeville, lived in Monroeville, so she couldn't accept the job because of that.
you know,
And just for anybody listening, the job posting is
You're
on
right.
the Monroeville website, and they can check it out, and
I think I
look at the
might.
qualifications.
I was thinking about this, and I think I would like Tim to look at is the ACC, see if they have an accounting person over there that would like to have an internship with us and begin an accounting career, and or any college. But I thought that since ACC is right here, I thought maybe that might be a good way.
CCC, yeah.
Yeah, excuse me. I thought that might be a good way to get somebody on board and train them, and they will have and
Maybe they
I
stay.
think it's
They'll
worth,
stay.
yeah, I think it's worth putting feelers out.
yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. at
Sounds like a
least
good idea, really.
So, that's what I was thinking about. All right.
I like good idea. Somebody move up.
Pat,
Anything else?
Yeah, only one quick question. Just
Yes.
Because over the last few years, contracted services, this is 450, line 450, and then it's up at 35. Anything, what is the normal contracted services for you?
Oh, that is our software.
Oh, okay, so it's just
That's
the
just-
ongoing
yeah.
fee increase. Thank you.
That's
So,
correct.
Terrific. We gotta live with it. Question on that. That's the only thing.
All right. You want to look at the revenue side?
Yeah, council, any questions at this point for expenditures in the tax office?
No.
Very good. Revenues. What everybody wants to hear.
Revenue was very good this year. We've done well.
Mr. Folkers, I'm sorry. You know page that revenue?
Oh, I
It's not
do
It's
not.
on page
27.
27, revenue page 27.
Thanks, Doug.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to jump the gun. But since I told Tara it would be done in 5 minutes, I didn't want to disappoint her.
That's expenditure. And it's also revenue.
Anyway, we got lucky this year because the small businesses, they were hurting. But fortunately, we got a help from a company that, that we didn't expect. I really don't want to get into the company, but if anybody wants to talk about it later on outside, because I think it's private, it's confidential, and I don't want to get into that particular, but we were very fortunate.
Good. And I think the earned income tax too, since a lot of people still, even though COVID was here, people still were employed and they
Right.
worked from home. So that was something that I think was something we weren't planning for, that we still
Right.
received that at a pretty
Exactly.
Great.
So that's, so we did well. So we put the revenue back to where it was normal back in 2019. So that's what we thought would happen this year.
So I'm gonna bring up one thing about the trade show. It's at the bottom. Last year, when you guys passed the ordinance for the convention center not to file, you can see how in 2020 it was low, and then this year it's 0. So it's hard to get them back into filing. So that's an issue that hopefully we can resolve going forward.
I would suggest that maybe you should just drop it. It isn't worth the aggravation.
And could you speak, just so everybody knows, speak to what you're,
Trade show is that they pay $2 for every booth that is in, like at the convention center, well, it's the convention center. They pay $2 for each booth, and then
If
they
there's
give
100
a,
booths in there, you get $200.
yes. There is other places in Monroeville that does trade shows, and we don't go after them, and we don't get any money from them. So I think it's more of a nuisance tax, more so than a revenue maker. Unless you want to, if you really want to make it something that would make money for you, and then you raise it to $15 to $20 a booth.
Because this was done originally because, say, if a business came in from out of town to a trade show and they generated revenue, basically that was the trade-off. You pay this license, we don't
go after you for
you don't get business privilege tax.
or mercantile tax.
So that's where that originated from.
That's correct. but
But
it-
to try to track down $2 a table, that becomes burdensome
But I
for,
wonder if it's worth it.
Well, the convention
That's-
center is supposed to
or
give us a
let's-
list with all the booths that are there, like for the
But I
fireman
mean,
next.
I'm saying if you raised it to $15, $20, I wonder if that would deter
Right.
vendors from coming in. And what I'm saying is I wonder if it's not just worth dropping it. Is it just
I would
like-
agree with that.
It's not a lot
Is it
of
just on
money.
the fee schedule, or is that a separate ordinance, or?
I believe it's a separate ordinance.
Yeah,
I would think it would have.
Yeah, it was a separate agreement, I think, that was
Yeah.
made, yes.
I just don't think it's,
And there's
Worth
nothing that
going.
offsets any municipal services we provide for
But
it.
I'm saying if we drop it,
Right.
at $2, how much are we willing to do?
you lose $10,000 at the most.
So let's just walk through this for a
Yeah.
second. So if there is a health, let's say there's a fitness health fair, because there's somebody that organizes it.
Yeah,
And they're the ones that go out and get the booths for these events.
Right.
So if there's 500 booths, they'll charge like whatever it is, $500 for each vendor to have the booth.
right.
So that person that's organizing it, are they getting taxed in the municipality?
They're supposed to get taxed. They're supposed, if you work in Monroeville, which they do when they create that event, we should be taxing them as an agent.
So that health care provider or whatever, they would pay the business privilege on all their booth rentals.
Right.
And then the $2 that Pat's talking about is all those booths pay the
booth.
$2.
You're supposed
Yeah.
to get the list.
Right.
I say get rid of
Supposed
it.
to get the list.
And then if anything,
You
we
don't
just
get
be
it, though.
more,
Sometimes.
we fall more on that, the organizer,
Right.
because that's a one-stop
They're
spot
supposed to
where
be
you-
on the organizer, and people lose the concept. It's a little confusing.
Because the organizer would just pass it on to,
The booth.
The booth,
Yeah.
people in
Right.
the booth, right.
but I think it is, I agree, I think it's probably just more work for your office for very little.
Well, we don't do work with it because we trust that the convention center will give us the money.
Okay.
And we don't go count all the booths because it really isn't worth it.
Well, I mean, council, at this point, I mean.
That's
maybe-
up to you to do the ordinance.
Well, I mean, I think what I'm hearing is from the people here at least, that they're not interested in that, but why don't, Mr. Little, maybe you could look up the ordinance or the resolution or whatever, and then we can talk about it more at either this regular
I just
council
think
meeting or the next.
These times, it's worth getting rid of.
We want to encourage businesses to come here.
Yes.
Exactly. Well, Mr. Mayor, why don't you just kind of ask everybody their opinion? We're not voting, but I mean, I've heard Ron and I saying that.
Sure.
It's the same thing. I'm curious what it was, the original creation of it for. Was there some offset for it?
Probably the business privilege tax
Yeah.
on each individual vendor.
That was the gripe. They used to come in here and sell their products, and then nobody got taxed. And they decided it was $2 or $1. It was $1 at one time. So,
Right.
it's just a nuisance tax, really.
Sure.
Mr. Williams?
It costs more to police it than you're receiving from it.
That's what I was thinking too. It costs more to get it than it.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is, let's maybe look at changing this, so Mr. Ratcher, Mr. Little, if we could look at the legal way of doing this, and we'll get it in front of council.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for bringing that up, gentlemen.
I appreciate it.
Anything else for this evening?
We're done.
And you took longer than 3 minutes.
Yes, he
You
did.
did,
I know that.
Want to charge them $2?
Once you start talking like yourself, you know that.
Well, Mr. Falk is going to be reelected, so congratulations.
Yeah. Another tough, hard battle.
Nice job, both of you, thank you so
Alright.
much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Pat.
Going over to our IT department, Tina Mueller.
Give us a page before she gets here.
Pages 22 and 23 under expenditures. I don't make any revenue, so just spend it.
Okay.
So not a lot has changed between last year and this year. I see that we, with our new reports, this is actually the adjusted budget and not the original budget. So there's some money moved around, but the grand total is just a little bit more this year. Looks like a lot of that is the insurance increase.
Probably.
And then there's a little bit I included under contract services because, things go up year to year and we notice some of the prices going up. Not a big difference, although I do want to just add something that, I talked to Mr. Little about it. He said, don't try to adjust anything now because it was after we printed everything. But we may be asking to add to the contract services. I'm sure you're aware that we've lost an IT person. So we are looking into maybe outsourcing the website. And we don't even have a ballpark for it. So we may be asking for more.
Okay.
So it's another alternative.
Okay.
It is.
Yeah, I know a lot of municipalities seem to do that, and there are some pretty decent third-party providers that, and that's one less thing that your department have to handle.
It is, and there's a lot that's been changed. Our last guy was pretty good with the web, so he made it a lot more complicated than it had been previously. But we started looking at some of these other vendors, and some of them are actually, they provide a lot that we don't. Like they could add the functionality, could add the 311 that Tim's been wanting for so long.
Yeah.
And
we
some
had
other
a Zoom.
functionality in the website, like allowing people to sort of subscribe to different kinds of newsletters and things like that. So it would definitely be a value add.
Yeah, an initial Zoom meeting that Tina and I had with, particularly in one company, it looked kind of promising. And they have at least a dozen municipalities in the Pittsburgh area, and a lot of the larger ones too, that we're very similar with. And I think it may be the way to go, because if you remember a year and a half, 2 years ago, Tina was, before the pandemic, Tina's department was actually budgeted for 2, because we knew Andy was retiring.
3 total.
Yeah, 2 new IT people because of things proliferating, and then we hired Brian, who's doing a great job in the police
Is the
department.
IT person in the police department under Doug or you?
He's under Doug,
under
but
Doug.
I have to tell you, he's very helpful whenever we need him for
Well,
anything.
no, I've heard nothing but positive about him, but his budget is under Doug.
His
Right.
budget is
His
under,
budget's
yeah, his
under
salary and everything is under.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, under support services. No, that's all right. But, so, as time goes on here, I mean, farming out the website, as Nick just said, as the mayor just said, is one less thing maybe to take care of. We still have to hire another person to
Well,
replace
that was
Robert.
gonna be my next
Yeah,
question.
yeah, we're
We don't
that's-
want that to go away
No,
either.
no.
Okay, so.
No, there's a
Yeah, I really
multitude of
don't.
things.
No.
Oh, no,
We've
this-
already started a search, we got a bunch of resumes, so
Yeah, we've got a,
we're on the process.
No, I mean, IT is only going to get more and more complicated and we need to add to this department, not take away.
Yeah, absolutely. I
So-
agree 1,000% with you, Mary.
What would this person's salary be?
Well, at this point right now, I'm not asking for another person. I'm asking for a replacement for the person that left.
That's
I'm
already
not
in the
asking
budget.
for an addition.
sorry, that's already. in.
Oh, but you're worried about, yeah, I do think part of why he left was salary related. So, yeah, I'm hoping that,
That's where I was at.
yeah, we didn't actually build in any increase in there.
Will
But
there be a
it
range?
would be
in
nice
the-
to be a little more competitive on that.
Will there be a range in the salary scale in the budget?
There is.
There is at the end of the, we have that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we can move it within that parameter, maybe.
Yeah,
there's-
We have latitude.
Well,
yeah.
I've always been in the theory of prove yourself, so I don't want to pay somebody $1 million an hour until we know they're worth $1 million an hour. So I guess what I'm saying is when you hire the IT person, I think there should be a 6-month review, and if they are looking good, they get a bump, and
Oh,
so, you see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, we already do have a probation period. They don't get in the pension, they don't get in a lot of things until
Well,
they're 6
yeah,
months
but
in,
I
so.
don't mean for it to take forever. I think you're gonna know fairly quickly whether this person meets the criteria or exceeds the criteria.
We did with
and-
the last
And
guy,
they ought to be
so.
rewarded accordingly, so we can keep them.
Yeah, because again, if you think about, we mandate them, everybody to live in Monroeville. That's our ordinance.
But
I just want everybody to make sure that they can survive on.
if you look at them after 6 months and they are meeting and exceeding our expectations, they ought to be rewarded accordingly, you know.
I agree.
Encouraged to stay and continue to do that good job.
Well, and this is just an add-on to that piece, though. Everything is, and those are the right policies for us to pursue. You do well and reward. The challenge we may have with the budget is, you're very expensive, Tina. Oh, did I say that out loud? I said.
Oh, come on, now you compare me to some other departments
No,
and
no,
say that again.
I mean, yeah, I mean that in a more positive sense, and Tim's right. Our reliance, and so's the mayor, reliance on what we're doing with IT is gonna get greater and not less. You know, we constantly hear from our other municipal colleagues how like, oh, wow, you have that. They don't even have a you, okay, let alone, you know, the building of a team to do that. And right now, post-COVID, unfortunately, I happened to take a look at this recently. Competitively, it's expensive, you know, to get it, and this is entry-level IT people and personnel to do that. So, you know, to continue to do it, but it's in the budget.
It
None
is,
of the
and if
person
you,
to
if
do
you
that.
like that 6-month idea, then we can build in, you know,
Absolutely, yeah.
build in
absolutely.
that bump, increase that budget a
Everybody
little bit.
okay with that?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely,
Why not? That
absolutely.
seems-
That's a terrific idea for it, to do that, and it's a definitive way to, you guys have to do that
Well,
as well.
I think it's always good to make sure you're getting what you're paying for.
Right,
And if they prove that, we should show them.
yeah.
But also, let's just take a look how important IT is. Everything
right.
is on computerized.
Yep.
Everything.
Right,
In this
if
day
they're
age,
not,
it's hard
we're
to find
not.
people like that that are good and,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I'd really rather not have, train another person for a year and a half and have them leave again, because.
And the other piece of that, back to contracted services, which may also be, is we look at a whole, you know, after what you guys have done this past year, so, you know, feel free to take the win across that, has been now open a larger gateway into our services, okay? So that gateway needs to be managed. We don't want to lose what it is we have advantage. So as you move forward in the contracted services to do that, everything including some of the other stuff we talked about, streaming. I know you looked at me the last time I said, you know, Eric, that's really expensive. No, I was being the expensive one to do that. So those are the considerations and the parameters to be sure the contracted service is enough and we can adapt to that piece. Because now we went from 2010 gateway into Monroeville services to looking up the ordinances, having things available on the online video messaging, web, et cetera, to make that capable now.
Well, this one particular place we were looking at had streaming as sort of, it was an extra module, a little bit extra cost, but it seemed more reasonable than the other way we were looking to do at it, so.
And it's
Because
also
this
joint-
place does a lot for other municipalities, so it knows what municipalities need and it services them
I mean,
specifically.
one of the things, and Tina and the other department heads are tired of me saying it, we need to, for the size of our municipality, we have to communicate technologically
Better.
with the public better. We're doing an okay job, but we have to do better. I mean, and I keep talking about, we need an app, mobile app, so people can contact people to fix
Well,
problems
it's gonna, and it's
directly.
gonna get bigger because if we go through with this, security system, it's all gonna come on IT.
Yeah, we should just be doing a little better, at least get on, and we're on that track, but the pandemic, Robert leaving and different things, but, I mean, I think, I mean, I know Tina and all the department heads, they know, and we're on that track, though,
Well, we gotta get some assistance.
yeah.
Yeah, so along those lines, as far as an employee, just, this is more of maybe a question for Tim. So whenever we're budgeting for an employee, and in this case, you know, for IT department, what do you, and there is a range, just so everybody knows, in the budget, there's a range for all the positions, all the non-union positions. There are for union positions as well, but for non-union positions, there's a minimum, a midpoint, a maximum. How are we putting that in a budget if we want to hire somebody? What figure are we using? Are we just, I know whenever we go to interview and hire somebody, that's negotiable with the candidate based on their experience and things like that, but
Well, you
how are
could-
we getting that number in Tina's budget?
Well, usually when Josie and I meet with the department head, and in this case with Tina, whatever the salary was, like in this case, Andy was here, but Andy was here for, a long time, and he retired. But obviously, we're not gonna put his salary in there. We'll look at what the bottom part of that salary is and maybe, move it up, and in this case, talk with Tina and talk with Joe.
Okay.
And it's not at the bottom, but it's, because we want somebody that's experienced, whether it's IT, whether it's planning,
Well, what
whatever
you're
the
gonna have
case
to do
might
is
be.
raise that salary, budget that, just not pay him that yet.
Right?
Well, I can tell you that this year, we just used what was last year. So it would be the exact same
Yeah,
rate that
So
he
we
was
just
getting,
need to
which is
put
the
a
rate
little
he
bit more
left
money
at,
into that
so.
line item.
Right, and he or she's gonna work her way up to that.
Got it. Yeah, makes sense.
But I like your idea of the 6-month review, though.
Yep, sure.
Sure.
Because again, we don't want to lose them.
Well,
Exactly.
and you don't wanna pay somebody top dollar that's not worth it.
No,
Right,
agree. No,
exactly.
Ron, we're on the same page.
Absolutely.
I'm good.
I'm good
I
too.
wouldn't mind you guys relooking at those ranges. Because they were made in the past and then they just kind of just get upped a little bit every year by a percentage. They
I'll
don't,
come up and see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's in the budget,
I
it's
mean,
part
look
of the
at the
budget, it's something
industry
that the
standards.
council can vote on. It's part of the budget every year, just like the fee schedule is. So-
Joe, we adjusted part of those last year in one section, which, that was,
We have to make it worth it for a good IT person to work here.
And I agree with that.
And they
Again,
wanna
let's
stay
think of the
here.
importance of our
Stay
IT
here.
department.
Stay here, yeah,
Make
exactly.
a mistake.
Well, and that's every department. You wanna
Yeah.
keep.
No,
the
no,
count-
but I'm just saying with IT, if that all goes down, nobody's operating.
Right,
Okay,
very good. Any other questions for Tina at this time?
did
Tina,
you
anything
want to
else?
say anything about the the capital budget?
yeah, by
that
all
depends
means.
on, is that where the building surge protections are? They said that it's in your budget.
I gave some information to Josie and Tim was saying that you guys wanted all the building related things separate, the security system, the camera system, the door access, and I included power protection. Because I know that the public works building
Is that
and the
in the
senior
capital?
center are really bad right now. I'm not sure, I have not seen the capital budget. Do you have all this security stuff in a special section?
Security stuff's in here. I didn't know if the,
We put a separate section for the building
Did you
security.
throw those power ones in? I didn't have very good
I-
quotes at the time, but.
I don't recall, I'd have
Okay.
to look at the,
well, we have
the
to make sure
detail I
the buildings have
used.
surge protection.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, we definitely need something for the senior
Yeah,
center.
provide
They've had a
Josie
number
the
of
numbers
problems
you
that
need to-
was destroyed their equipment. And then Public Works is pretty bad, but if you guys are gonna make a call on building a new Public
Yeah,
Works
you need to leave
building,
that one, leave it to Paul.
there's some, yeah. But Public Works needs
Lucky
something,
Paul.
senior centers need something.
Another-
And we
another
have
job,
ones
Paul.
here, we just wanna make sure we keep that going.
Right.
Keep that up to date.
Especially with the dispatch.
And where's her capital at?
I don't.
Page.
I think there's
Where
just
you
some
at?
things,
um,
there's an.
I would,
Oh,
what I'm
there's no
doing,
page
Pat,
number.
these pages
Right.
aren't numbered. What I do is go through and number them, so we, starting with the actual first page.
It's,
if you wanna go
I
through.
think it's one of the line items with some other things too.
if you go to,
You like schedule, not schedule.
go to
stuff.
Schedule 7, which that doesn't have a page either. Sorry about that.
That would be page 17. I'm numbering them. I would
You're
suggest-
numbering them, okay.
Yeah, I'm numbering
It's like
myself.
about
I would suggest you do that.
3 pages after,
Is it under administration?
no, it's information technology. It's it's on a
I got it.
page by itself, but you don't have a whole lot in there.
Yeah, and I don't, I'm not exactly sure how it all got divided up. I'll just kind of tell you the things.
What are the big items that
The
you're looking
big
for?
item is, we have a server that houses other servers, virtual servers. It's kind of the way everybody's doing things now. That whole system's pretty old. It's about 10 years old. So we're looking to replace the whole thing, but to do it the right way with backup and things like that, it's probably gonna be like 90 to 100,000. So I've thrown that in there.
Okay.
It is what it
It's
is.
not something you buy every year. You know, I understand that it's a big ticket item, but it is something that, it's getting very old right now.
But that's your top priority?
That is the top priority for capital budget, yes. You know, other than the security stuff, if you're counting that as me, or, you know, but that, as far as pure IT stuff, that's the big thing, because it houses a bunch of other servers. So, You know, right now, that's the web server, that's the file server that everybody puts things on, it's the park server, it's, you know, it's a lot of other
Yeah.
stuff.
What year do you want to do that in?
I think she threw it in for, I just told her what I wanted, I think she decided at which
Yeah,
point
I
I could
didn't-
have it.
yeah.
I think
We
2023.
may,
It's in
I may have
23.
went from last, what we had the
Oh, page
last
20.
time,
Okay.
before COVID, when we
All
were
right, so
doing
just
this.
pushed it 1 year.
$75,000.
All right, so it should be 2023 then, I think. And then in 2022, I think she has some printers that I was looking for and a little bit of network equipment, but that was far less. It was about 15,000, I think.
Are we insured for surge protection in that? For damaged equipment, lightning strike or whatever?
I don't know if we're officially insured for that.
Tim, do you know?
Are we insured because of surge
Oh.
protection?
Surge protector, lightning
I
strike?
would doubt that.
Well, the gentleman you want to ask
Mark?
is right there.
You know,
He's here.
something happened with the senior center and it didn't qualify because
Yeah.
of the surge, the way the power surge happened.
Right.
Act to cause.
So
usually.
you're covered under certain circumstances, but not others. So you're
Because there
better
was some-
off worrying
there was-
about it yourself than not depending on the
Because there was
insurance.
protection, but it came through an unusual way that got into the system.
And it also, you know, the insurance doesn't really stop you from losing data, so you still want the power protection.
Yeah, we want to put good power protection.
Absolutely.
That's worth its weight.
But like I said, I consider that part of the building security, door access, all that. That's just sort of part of what you gotta have as part of a building, I think.
Very good.
But that's all.
We're good.
Excellent.
Am I good?
Thanks, Tina. Great job.
All right, thanks, Tina.
Okay. Moving over to our, to Mr. Paul Hugus. He's gonna be going over Public Works, Engineering.
You got
Building?
3 minutes, Paul.
I'm not done yet, and Community Development. So we have Engineering, Building, Community Development, departments.
It's gonna take a while.
Is Sharon good?
Would you wanna do it at the end, or what? Well, they're here anyway, right? People, okay.
This is, I was just thinking about.
Yeah, okay, so folks, so we do have some latitude here. I won't make any department heads stay, they usually don't, but I see the people that are gonna be presenting, they're gonna be sticking around anyway for the meeting, so you guys can wait till later. What we'll do is, we'll close the budget hearing at this point, and we'll get into our agenda-setting meeting. We have a public hearing for a liquor license transfer. Let's go through some of those things. We also have some folks here that are probably presenting for some things. And then we can always come back and finish the budget hearing items. Tonight, we'll finish it.
We'll
at the end.
reopen it.
Yeah, let's reopen it. Do I need a motion in a second?
So move.
Second.
We'll take it anyway. Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none. So what we're gonna do is move over, council, to our agenda-setting meeting. And that also includes Citizens Night. So if there's anyone from the community that would like to address council regarding any municipal item, now would be your time to do so. You can come up and you can sign in. And once you sign in, you can state your name for the record and that you are a Monroeville resident.
Okay.
And once again, just for the record, we do have a quorum of council members with the exception of Mr. Wilson and Mrs. Gatos.
Okay, my name is Kristen Radage. I live at 2128 Berkshire Drive. And I want to thank you, Dr. Graystock, and Mr. Little and his secretary, Dara, for sending me the ordinance that we're going to talk about, and Eric for all your help. I'm not sure if you got the text messages or not,
I
but
did. I have, thank you so much.
been handing out the number. So noticed the other day that we were getting, one call was out and we're getting no parking signs installed on our street. I recognize that the ordinance is from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., no parking on the street, unless there is a sign there to enforce it. So I'm assuming the signs are to enforce this. Spoke with my neighbors, and there's 18 homes on our street, including ones on the corner of Ramsey and Berkshire. And when I spoke with them, 14 of the households do not want these signs installed on the street. We have sprinkler systems, electric dog fences, and we don't have any complaints about who's parking in front of their house. I guess the other question would be, we're not exactly sure how the signs got ordered, being that there is no other signs going up in the neighborhood with the exception of the signs on our street. We're just asking that they not be installed.
Okay.
I'm
Good.
good.
I'm good.
Council,
And-
any problems with that? So these things, the way they typically work out, so just so everyone's aware, the entire municipality, and that's the ordinance you're referring to.
Absolutely,
The entire, which people don't realize, the entire municipality is no parking 2 AM to 6 AM overnight on the street. And this is primarily done for safety reasons.
Of
You know,
course.
because it's dark out, people are driving, also emergency vehicles, snow plows, public works, things of that nature. And I was gonna comment on this later, actually, I'm glad you came up, but
Yeah.
particularly in the wintertime, yes, we definitely want people parking in their driveways from November 1st to, I believe it's.
And that is what our
April
sign
something.
used to say. At some point, that changed.
Yeah, there was a sign on Berkshire that did say no parking 2 AM to 6 AM, which was an old sign. And when we receive complaints about these things for particular streets, that's how these things usually go into
Okay.
motion. And we were receiving some complaints. However, this is, the governing body is here, and you're here to
I,
speak otherwise to it. It looks
Thank
like there's a petition, which is very helpful.
Thank you so much. I think this actually goes to Sharon.
That's okay.
Sharon,
No, it's
I'll
very
get it.
helpful to have a
That's fine.
petition. So at this point, this is not a voting meeting, but your concerns are heard, absolutely. We'll definitely be adding the petition into the record,
okay,
and really, council doesn't need to,
We don't have to act.
we don't have to act.
okay.
It's not a legislation at this point. I mean, we can.
There's no signs there, right?
There's no signs currently.
So
We're asking they
To do
not
nothing,
go
we have
in.
to do nothing.
That's right.
Yes.
Correct.
Is there, Mr. Hughes, there was an old sign that was there. Is that sign still there, or has it been removed? The old one, the original one?
It has been removed because there was no ordinance supporting it.
Okay, so Mr. Hugus said that old sign, which was outdated, is now currently removed. So to Mr. Harvey's point, at this point, there are no signs, and
That's what they want.
that's what they want, and if they don't,
Terrific.
There's nothing to do.
There's
else.
nothing to
Hey,
do.
thanks
there's nothing to
much,
do.
and
There's nothing to
Well-
vote on for Tuesday, there's nothing to
Thank you.
act on, but
that's it.
Unless somebody
Thank
would-
you
Good
for
job.
your time.
good job, unless another petition comes up here with more signatures, but that's, I think you got all the houses.
I got
Doesn't look
all
like
but
it.
3.
Yep.
So,
That's fine.
Very
thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Excellent job.
Good evening.
I don't get that.
Good evening. My name's Bob Stevenson. I live at 520 Cottage Lane in Monroeville. I had talked about this issue before, and it's not a real big issue. When you look at the minutes and you look at, let's say, vacancy on boards and commissions, and it says, see attached blue. These don't have attached blue. Can we add, see the website? Because that is on the website, right?
Okay, so, yeah, I know what you're referring to now. So the packet that council has in front of them, and it's for public information, the one that's actually here when you walk in the door for a meeting is the one you have, and
Right.
it's in a
Right.
abridged copy.
Right, but it says see attachment.
And it's not attached.
Or see attached list,
So it should be one of two things. Either we should
or
be.
both.
We should be printing the actual applicants on
Put on there,
that.
see website.
Yeah,
Or
I
see
think
website.
just see website would take care of the issue, and it's just a matter of adding that on the sheet.
And if we added enough with their new services, people can reference the website from their phone, and it'll be there.
Right,
Exactly.
right,
Very
So,
good.
we can add
No,
to
it's
that.
great.
and that's all I have.
And
Thank
what
you.
ward do you live in?
Ward 3.
Okay, very good. So if everyone doesn't know, Mr. Stevenson here, he was elected to represent the 3rd Ward starting in January. Congratulations to you, sir.
Thank you very
Looking forward
much.
to working with you.
Thank all of you.
Great.
See you, Bob. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address council on any municipal item? Very good. We're going to close that part of the meeting, and we're going to move over. We do have a public hearing item this evening for a liquor license transfer. Liquor license transfer. Rare Hospitality International Incorporated, Longhorn Steakhouse. The applicant representation is here, Mr. Mark Kozar. And,
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
welcome.
Yeah, put one right here with this packet as well.
Thanks.
Want to make me hungry.
You ain't gonna make it.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing item. If there is anyone in the audience that will be adding testimony to this item or would like to speak for or against this item, now would be your time to be sworn in. Is there anybody that will be adding testimony? Seeing none?
Swear the applicant in.
Okay. Mr. Kozar, if you could, please. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Thank you. And if you go on with your presentation, please.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Mr. Mayor, Council. My name is Mark Kozar. I'm with the law firm of Flaherty and O'Hara. It's been a while since I've been here in Monroeville, but it's nice to be back. I actually used to live in Monroeville many years ago. I'm with the law firm of Flaherty and O'Hara. I like to plug our law firm any chance I get, and this is one of them. Our sole area of practice is liquor law and liquor licensing. We do it throughout the state and across the country. This evening I'm here on behalf of Rare Hospitality International, requesting that you pass a resolution permitting the intermunicipal transfer of a liquor license from outside the municipality to within it, pursuant to revised liquor code Title 47, Section 461B3, for use by Rare Hospitality doing business as Longhorn Steakhouse at the former Cracker Barrel location, 3951 William Penn Highway.
Golden Corral.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Golden Corral.
We want a Cracker Barrel.
I can't help you with that.
Good pictures, I'm getting hungry.
I'm sufficiently
We
hungry.
want a Longhorn, too.
We had one.
In order for you to make a decision, let me give you a little background on Rare Hospitality International. They're a wholly owned subsidiary of Darden Restaurants, which is a publicly traded company headquartered in Orlando, Florida. Darden is the world's largest casual restaurant company. Through subsidiaries, Darden owns over 1,800 restaurants in North America. They employ approximately 157,000 people. They have a number of concepts, which I'm sure you're familiar with: Olive Garden, Cheddar Scratch Kitchen, Bahama Breeze, Capitol Grill, Longhorn Steakhouse, Seasons 52, and Eddie V's. There are 499 Longhorn Steakhouses in North America, including 34 here in Pennsylvania. Longhorn Steakhouses are family-friendly, full-service casual dining restaurants featuring a wide variety of hand-cut-in-hand seasoned steaks in a classic American Western atmosphere. As you can see from Section 7 of the handout, the menu features an assortment of fresh steaks as well as salmon, shrimp, chicken, ribs, pork chops, burgers, and prime rib, and I'm making myself hungry just talking about it.
Me too.
Longhorn's open both for lunch and dinner, and also features a lower-priced children's menu. If you look at tab, I think number 8, you can see what the exterior looks like. It's in hues of brown. I think tab 9 may be the
Just showing me food.
Again, I'm trying to make, tab 5 is, no,
Section 1 is the picture.
there you go.
What do you want, section?
Section 1.
Is, shows the general exterior
Yeah.
of Longhorns. I think it is tab 6, shows the interior of the restaurant, featuring American West artifacts and artwork. Longhorn doesn't have any live music, no takeout beer. Their hours of operation are Sunday through Thursdays, 11 a.m. through 10 p.m., Fridays and Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. This particular layout of the store will have a sitting capacity of 168 people. It will be 6,726 square feet and will employ 100 full and part-time employees. Alcohol is served as a complement to the food, not as the main attraction at Longhorn Steakhouses. Alcohol is served at all Longhorn restaurants, which makes for a consistent product nationally. Percentage of alcohol sales as a percentage of total sales is 7.6%. Kind of interestingly, it's gone down from 2019 to 2020 from 9.6 to 7.6. You'd think people would be drinking more, but they're actually drinking less. All alcohol servers will receive the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board created RAMP training program, stands for Responsible Alcohol Management. Teaches people how to recognize fake IDs, recognize visibly intoxicated persons, recognize pass-off situations where someone who is 21 is trying to buy for someone who is under 21. RARE also has an extensive in-house training program that all employees must go through. RARE is a responsible owner making a significant investment in Monroeville. They will protect that investment with responsible management and well-trained employees. And for those reasons, I would ask that you pass a resolution permitting the transfer of the license into Monroeville for use by Rare Hospitality. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Council, any
Where's the
questions, Mr. Kozar?
Samples.
That's what Bob said, where's the same?
Talking about food, we're all
Maybe
sitting
it's
there
the site
hungry.
plan, maybe it's the site plan.
Is it definitely gonna, Mark, is it definitely gonna look like the picture here? I mean,
Very similar to
very
it.
similar.
Yeah.
That's a nice.
You're gonna
Yeah.
remodel the existing building?
They're gonna bulldoze that.
Yeah,
Bulldoze
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Oh, you're gonna tear, oh, you're gonna
Yeah.
tear it
Oh,
down.
yeah.
They're gonna tear it down.
Tell them they need to bulldoze that wall too and do something more presentable.
I just was gonna tell you it needs to be bulldozed.
Yes. Well, keep in mind, everyone, we are only just, now granted, we're not voting this evening, but we're going to be considering this on Tuesday, this Tuesday, November 9th. This will only be for the liquor license transfer. All the other things, the site plan, everything
You have
with
to
the
go
actual
through all the
build.
procedure.
Right.
There's multiple
Right.
steps.
That's
So
correct.
you're off the hook on that. There's other trainings for that.
I know nothing about zoning, planning,
Right.
all
So
that stuff.
council will have the opportunity to talk about that at a
Well, they
later
gotta
date.
find out if they can transfer their liquor license before they do the rest.
Well, that's
I
correct.
think that's correct. So council will consider this on Tuesday.
I thank you, appreciate your time.
Thank you,
All
Mr.
right.
Kozar.
We all get free passes.
And we're closing the public hearing.
Oh, God.
Is there, could I have a motion to close the public?
Motion to close.
Second, third, fourth.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Council, moving over to our proposed agenda for Tuesday, November 9th. We'll be having we'll be commending an officer, our Officer Sisella, for action he took a few weeks ago. But I do have an executive session announcement that council conducted.
Well, not,
No,
not yet.
actually,
That was
I'm
for
sorry,
the
that'll
council
be-
meeting. That's for the
yep.
council meeting.
Council, let's bounce down to our minutes. In front of you, in your packet, you will have the minutes of the Citizens' Night meeting of October 7th, 2021, the council agenda-setting meeting of October 7th, 2021, and the regular council meeting of October 12th, 2021. Any questions, comments, or additions to those? Very good. You'll be going over the reports of the tax collections. Any comments at this point? Very good. List of bills and budget transfers. Any questions or comments about those for Tuesday? Seeing none, we'll move over to our payroll report. Any comments or questions, council? Very good. And now we are moving over to our new business. 21-2-C, Dreamers and Achievers Early Education Academy. Mr. Little.
Yes, this is applicants requesting a conditional use approval to operate a child care facility pursuant to the Monroeville zoning ordinance number 1443 as amended, section 401.9. The property is located at 4500 Broadway Boulevard, AKA Haymaker Village Shopping Center, tax parcel 861E229 in the C2 Business Commercial District. This is a public hearing item, so anybody testifying would have to be sworn in.
Okay, so we'll do that in a
Planning
moment.
Commission has recommended approval.
Yes, Planning Commission has recommended approval. You're the applicant.
Yes, I am.
Very good.
evening.
If you could state your name for the record.
My name's Lavette Smith.
Lavette?
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
If you're comfortable.
Oh,
if you-
yes, that's fine.
Are you
I'm
okay with
sorry.
that? Thank you. And then if you could, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
Thank you. And then you can go on with your presentation.
Okay.
I think you have a board there. If you want to place it on the desk there in front of you, there's a piece of tape, just lay it flat, and then we have a
Okay.
camera that'll pick it up.
Okay.
You could probably move your binder
Sure.
off of there onto your, and I'll have you speak to the left there, so you're in front of that microphone. Perfect.
Very good. Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Again, my name is Lavette Smith. I am the owner and director of Dreamers and Achievers. We have a location in Wilmerding and a location in Pitcairn, and we're very interested in opening a new location in Monroeville to provide services for children 6 weeks to 12 years old. The facility in Monroeville would be able to accommodate 90 children, and it's a lot of children, but it's not all at one time. It's throughout the day from 6:30 to 6:30 in the evening.
So they come and leave at different times.
That's correct. We have before school care, we have after school care, and then in between we care for the infants and the toddlers and the preschoolers. So it is a lot of children, but it is, the space will accommodate them. The space is for 4,608 square feet, and we are planning to accommodate about 90 children, so that would take up about 3,600 square feet. So that leaves us about 1,000 square feet, of course, for office space and kitchen, et cetera. And so they have plenty of space within that facility, and they will be in different classrooms. So it will be also preschool class, toddler class, infant classrooms, and we would have an area for school agers.
And
You
this
say
is-
classroom.
This is in Haymaker Village?
Yes, it is. It is, if facing Papa Rocks, it's on the left side of Papa Rocks.
What was it,
Left side of
my
Papa.
question was, what was it formerly? Sometimes we have to go from what it used to be, if you're aware of.
It has been empty for some time. I do not remember what it was.
But it is
formerly.
the site right adjacent to Papa Rocks?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
That is correct.
Ms. Smith, you're saying classrooms, there's actually gonna be classrooms?
There will be classrooms, yes. They will be separate areas for the children.
You have them petitioned off?
That's correct.
I'm truly asking this question because I don't know.
Sure.
Is that, the state doesn't have a problem with you being next to a place that serves alcohol?
The state does not have a problem with that.
Because you're licensed through the state.
Yes, it is.
Do you know what bureau it's under?
Department of Education.
It falls under the Department of Education.
Yes, it does.
Education also, too. The other piece, any outdoor space planned activities, or do you have something laid out?
Yes, we do have outdoor, yes, and I don't know how much you'll be able to see.
Oh, as soon as he brings it up.
Okay,
there.
all right. So in this area
Actually, you
here.
know what?
Actually,
Ms. Smith, if you could spin the whole thing around.
Okay.
Sorry. That way you don't have to read upside down.
Fortunately, that fits right in there.
I noticed that too.
She's been to the planning commission meeting. She was measuring the desk.
She must have measured that.
Okay, so this is a bird's eye view of the shopping space, and the daycare will be over here. We would use this area to traverse over to this play area over here on the other side of the auto zone. And that space is being made available to the daycare center by
Are you
Wide
gonna
Water.
have school buses coming in there?
They do. That is correct. And we have a lot of interest in the daycare being there because the school buses are already there. Yes,
Oh, yeah, they're already on that route.
that's correct.
Now, what you just referred to, that play area, that's adjacent to the dollar store?
To the auto zone, to the,
That grassy area.
There's a
Yes.
grass area, there's
this
actually,
grassy area right here.
Okay. Will it be fenced in?
Yes, we'll put a fence up. All of the space has been made available, but we will just fence in. I haven't determined how much, but we will fence it in.
Okay.
You know,
Mr. Wheeldon?
Getting there, though, I mean, because as they go around the building, is there deliveries and activities?
So-
It's kind of a busy,
Okay, so we will use the sidewalk, and it is about I think about 60 feet of where we have to cross over, go up steps, and then cross over again. However, we have gone through this and have done some traffic studies, and it is not a busy area. This particular area is a crossover. Not many trucks or cars are going behind this area. Water has agreed to put in a crosswalk as well as an additional stop sign and provide parking, designated parking in front of the building for parents to be able to drop their children or park and bring their children in. We would operate between the hours of 6:30 and 7:30 or 6:30 and 6:30, depending on the need of the parents. And we've been in business in Pitcairn going on 7 years, and in Wilmerding going on 5 years.
Are you
And
keeping those locations?
yes, we will be keeping
This is
those
this is a
locations.
third location.
This would
for
be a
you.
third
Excellent.
location, that's
Very good.
correct. And there is a
Well,
great need.
Everything okay with your office?
Yes.
And no issue to bring the traffic study she mentioned?
What Levette had done was,
Mr. Wielden, I'm sorry, if I could just really quickly
It's my fault.
swear you in.
swear you in. Want to see you raise your rating.
Yes. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Thank you.
Levette had, I don't know if it was one of your employees, somebody sat down there and counted vehicles. And where the crosswalk is going to be, it's on the far side of the intersection. So everybody coming into the shopping center makes the left. So like 98% of the traffic turns left before that crosswalk. So the amount of traffic that students will be crossing is very minimal.
And I'm assuming, too, they're always supervised, like kids aren't just walking back and forth. I mean,
Absolutely,
you know, so
absolutely.
That's a thing, so.
No, there's always going to be a teacher at the beginning of the line, at the end of the line, and depending on the number of the children, one or two in between.
And a locked gate, a secured gate,
For the play yard,
yes.
absolutely.
Okay. Is this is not a nonprofit organization, is it?
We are not
It's for
nonprofit.
profit.
We are for
Okay.
profit, yes.
Mr. Wielden, so that fencing area, is that part of the application, or is that a separate issue?
It's all part of the application. We have plans upstairs if anybody wants to look at them.
But we can do that all at one time, is what I'm getting at.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There's an agreement, a written agreement with Wide Waters, who owns all the property. There's a separate lease agreement for the play area. I spoke to the Advanced Auto Parts manager, just to inform him that, there's gonna be a play area over there. He didn't mind, so.
And any use of the parking lot's really not our concern, it's really the lease, landlords.
Use the parking lot for what?
They're sharing the parking lot like every other business.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, the parking area is gonna be part of the Haymaker Village. There's already adequate parking there for all those businesses.
And does anything have to happen, you mentioned school buses, does anything have to happen in terms of drop-off space or area?
There's also Port Authority buses that go through there, so, it's wide enough to accommodate large vehicles. But there is no separate, turnout or cutout for buses. So they'll just pull up along the curb. The door will be on that side, they enter, exit.
Right.
And then as far as the zoning issue, this is a public hearing item because it's a conditional use in that zone, is that correct?
Yeah, child daycare is conditional use.
Okay, very good.
So, Levette, this be a charter school?
No, it is a daycare center and early education learning center.
Okay.
So it's
okay.
infants and toddlers, and then we have preschoolers as well.
I thought
But no
you said
kindergarten.
You said
We-
up to 12 years old.
For after-school care,
Oh,
so
for-
children
okay,
and
okay,
before-school
okay.
care
All right,
and summer
all right.
care.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what was your question?
No kindergarten.
In the future, possibly, but opening right now, not right now.
Okay. Do you do that at your other facilities?
I do not, but it is
But
an
you're something
interest,
like that.
yes.
Gotcha.
Yes, very much so.
Because I know some daycare centers do that. They can provide private kindergarten in the same.
Right, very much so. And I'm very interested in that, but there's such a need right now for childcare with all of that's going on. We would work to fulfill that need, and then if there's an interest, go ahead and gear up for a kindergarten if that's available.
Council, any other questions at this point?
I'm just curious, how close to the advanced auto is that gonna be?
The play yard?
Yes.
Well, let's see.
Very close.
It's
Yeah,
very
I thought so,
close.
because I know the area, and, I'm trying to think, it's play area by, advanced auto or
Well,
something like that, so.
But it's gonna be
Let me
fenced in.
say that it is
Well,
very
okay.
close, but I have access to all of the green area,
Okay,
so
all
I
right.
can move it to whichever part
Whichever,
of that
yeah.
area I'm interested in.
I'm just curious how close it was to that.
And the advanced auto traffic that may or may not in and out, because they're in, right, in, and then.
And there's a sidewalk in front of that store, so once they
That's right, there is.
cross over, they can walk across the sidewalk to that area.
Yes. And it will be enclosed in a gate.
Okay.
Privacy.
Any other questions, council?
Nope.
So, motion to close this public hearing item?
So move.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. So this will be considered at the Tuesday meeting.
Thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
Great job.
Thank you.
Next item, council, 21-4-SUB, KDP Roosevelt 369 LLC. This is the Penn Monroe site. Mr. Little, please.
Yeah, the applicant's requesting a preliminary and final subdivision approval to subdivide tax parcel 743G70. The parent parcel is 4.774 acres and will be divided into two lots. Lot 1 is 2.573 acres, and Lot 2 will be 2.201 acres. The property is located at 3995 William Penn Highway, otherwise known as the Penn Monroe site in the C2 Business Commercial District, and Planning Commission has given its approval.
Sir, if you could just state your name for the record.
Edward Thompson.
Welcome, Edward. So if you want to go on with your presentation, that'd be great.
Okay. It's just a minor subdivision for the Penn Monroe site over at the intersection of William Penn Highway and Duff Road. And the area highlighted in yellow is the original boundary, and the line highlighted in orange is the proposed dividing line between the two.
Could you pull it down towards you a little bit?
Sure.
There you go.
And the reasoning?
It's for proposed commercial development for the site.
Okay.
So what's he want to do?
He wants to split the big lot into two. It's probably underlying it is probably a financing issue, and
So
so they
the-
need to split it into two parcels instead of just one. There's going to be several buildings there, as I recall from earlier presentations,
I
right?
believe so. I'm not.
Yeah,
100%
Aldi,
familiar
and
with
there's
the
going to be a
design.
bank there and some other stuff, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Mr. Wilk may speak to that part of it a little bit.
I might be able to help out a little bit here. This is where the Aldi's is gonna be located, and then there's gonna be 3 other businesses over here. And as of right now, there are lease lot lines. They may be coming back through to do another subdivision to make those lease lines property lines. And that has to do with Duquesne Light and transformers. Apparently Duquesne Light wants a transformer per property, not a leased property. So you may see this playing again with 2 additional property lines added to it. But so that's Aldi's, Key Bank, Taco Bell, Mission Barbecue, something like that.
So Aldi's is gonna own everything to the left.
Yeah,
Or
they're
to
the
right.
big, they're the anchor, they're the biggest one.
Answer me this, if that's subdivided, you got a common road going right in through the middle. If they would sell one parcel to the other, who's gonna maintain that road, or is it a cross agreement, or?
They'll have reciprocal easements as part of the,
Yeah, and they are,
part of the split.
Okay.
and they already
and-
have something like that in place for parking. They have shared parking agreements as well.
And doing that subdivision, is there gonna be enough parking for both sides? How's the parking issue?
They went through zoning hearing board to get
Variance.
shared parking agreements, because like the bank is going to be, their hours of operation are opposite the restaurants. So the theory was that, when a bank is closed, their parking lot's gonna be empty, so the restaurants will be able to use those parking spaces.
Okay, and how about the water retention? I know they're putting tanks in there, and is that gonna cross for the whole property, or they have to have it on each?
The entire site's designed for the stormwater. So there is one large detention system, It will be in an easement so that, you know, if it needs maintained, the property owner can get to it. I assume it'll be like an HOA, you know, there's gonna be one overall governing body for the properties.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions about the actual subdivision?
Nope.
Very good. We'll consider this on Tuesday. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Council, we have one motion for Tuesday. Mr. Little?
Yeah, this is a motion to accept the resignation of Dan Gerhart from the Planning Commission.
Mr. Mayor, may I? I think Mr. Gerhart's going to resend that to you, Mr. Little, is my understanding.
He did on the Park and Rec.
But I also thought he was gonna do on the planning commission, so can you check on that?
I'll check,
before
I
Tuesday?
received from the Park and Rec, but not the Planning Commission.
But please check on that before.
We'll confirm that before Tuesday,
Yeah.
before we.
Yeah, sure.
That's all.
Perfect, thank you. Council, our resolutions, we have two this evening, Mr. Little.
Okay, the first one is a resolution electing to amend the non-uniform pension plan administered by the Pennsylvania Municipal Retirement System pursuant to Article 4 of the Pennsylvania Municipal Retirement Law, agreeing to be bound by the provisions of all Pennsylvania Municipal Retirement Law as amended, and is applicable to the member municipalities. I requested council to table this last month, and the reason is, we have had, in the past 4 or 5 years, several retiring employees ask if they could work part-time while they're retired. And I have always told them no. Well, if you look through the, on the 1.6 section,
Work part-time for the municipality.
part-time for the municipality, correct. And I always told them no, because obviously it wasn't permitted. Well, I spoke with PRMS, as I mentioned last month on several occasions, and they were getting back to me. And my question to them was, if we did that, would it affect our plan? You know, from a financial perspective. And they said it's hard to tell, we don't know, because one of their theories is that, well, if a person knows they're gonna retire and they can work part-time, if there is, we've had 3 or 4 or 5 employees ask that. So I thought I would look into it a little bit further. And when I told you to table this, what they told me afterwards, I said, well, what are other cohort municipalities in the state that do this and permit it? Is there an impact on them? They said we could look into that and we can do a study. We are permitted to have 2 studies for free from PMRS. And I said, but I don't want to hold up this, this verification of our plan is what it is from the IRS. They have to do this every so often because the IRS comes in and looks at all the different non-uniform. They have approximately 900 municipalities in the state. And they said, you can adopt this at your November meeting, that's no problem. If you want us to do the study, we'll do it, no charge to you, and see if we can ascertain if it would impact your plan. I said, okay. I said, I will bring it to council, and I will mention it to council if we want to move ahead with that study. Because as I was going through this in August, in late August, I was going through this questionnaire, and I didn't have many questions, and I gave it to Joe to review too, because he's in charge of HR. But one of the things that's, when I called them, they pointed out 3 different questions, and one of them was the part-time about people retiring, and I told them, I said, I really didn't know you could do that. I thought maybe it was an IRS rule or something that you couldn't work part-time once you're retired from an employer. They said, no, there's some municipalities that do permit it. I said, well, we've had several ask about that in the last 5 years, let's say. So I said, I'll bring it to council's attention, and whatever council wants to do is what we'll do.
Question for you, Mr. Ratcher. Could not we do some sort of ordinance? The VA did that. Retirees have retired and then they needed help, they brought them back, but it did not affect their pension, but it didn't increase it either. They just paid them like a straight, almost like a 1099. Could we not?
No, this wouldn't be a 1099, it would be a W-2. Now, it's not like a drop plan, if you're familiar with a drop plan.
Yes,
It's not that. It would be a part-time employee in how their they're taxed with their pension, that's their personal business.
But would it change their pension?
No,
See,
no.
see, that was my,
No,
It doesn't add to
no.
it.
right,
That's what the study's gonna be for.
Yeah.
that's,
To de-
okay.
To determine if there's any detrimental effect.
It'll
We
be
should
hard.
probably do the study then.
Yeah, I mean, I would suggest to do it, because what do we have to lose?
Nothing.
But if the MMO, for instance, would increase 5%, you know, and I said, well, wait, we gotta look at, is this worth it? You know, I mean, or if it increased like 0.1%. But I don't know this definitely, but my supposition is that they're gonna come back with different theories, that it most likely won't increase, or it might increase a 0.2% or something like that. I don't know. So I would suggest to council to inform them to move ahead with the study.
Council
We
Ray?
can adopt this on Tuesday's meeting. They have no problem with that. And if it has to be amended down the road, if council wants to amend it to permit that, you can do that.
Yeah, when this is usually done, a next employee can work so many hours before it affects their pension.
And I'm not gonna go through the, Bob, you're touching, I don't wanna, you know, you can go through, it's question 1.6. There's different types of part-time, what they call in-service distributions, is what they call it. And if you look through that, there's many different types. And that's what part of the study is gonna ascertain what each of those would do on the study. And we get 2 of those free per year.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a no-brainer to get the study and let's figure it out. And this may be something that's a benefit, because even if it does affect things a little bit, the flip side is, if you have 2 part-time people that are working, that's a full-time person you're not hiring. So
Paying benefits.
that may actually net out, perhaps. But I think it's worth getting the study. Council's okay with that,
Yep.
proceeding with that part of it. And then as far as acting on it for Tuesday, we can decide then as far as we want to take it off the table and act on it at that point.
Tim, is this all at the bottom of the funnel, deciding whether an employee can retire and work for us again?
In a part-time fashion.
Yeah.
All right, because, yeah, the answer to your question, yes. And as I mentioned, the bell went off in my head when I was talking to them about 6 weeks ago or so. And because we have had inquiries
I just
about that.
making sure I was looking at it correctly.
Very good. Next item.
Okay, next resolution is a resolution approving the transfer of the restaurant liquor license number R12450 in the municipality of Monroeville for the Rare Hospitality Incorporated, Longhorn Steakhouse located at 3951 William Penn Highway.
And that's obviously what we just talked about this evening, so we can consider that then. Moving over to our ordinances, we have 3 for Tuesday. Mr. Ratcher.
An ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville authorizing the proper officials of Monroeville to enter into a collective bargaining agreement with the Refuse Collection Division of the Department of Public Works for the period of January 2020 through December 2023. This is a matter that's presently on the table.
If I can inform council, we had a meeting this morning with the labor union about this, and also a grievance. And we're pretty confident that the council will be able to pass this Tuesday night, but we'll have an executive session, as I've informed council, before the meeting to discuss this, just to go over the highlights of it, because you probably haven't, you know, gone over the highlights of it in a while, because it's been not only been tabled for a while, it's been kind of lying fallow for a while. Just go over the highlights. I don't, at this point, Joe and I have told the labor union to look over the contract. It's complete. If you see any discrepancies, let us know. At this point, we're ready to go. We're ready to recommend for you to adopt it unless there's something unforeseen.
Very good. Next item.
An ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville, Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, accepting Asbury Court. And this is, I believe, was discussed a little bit last month when the
It was.
advertisement was authorized.
It was.
Yep, it's something that the engineering department's been working on
Yeah.
quite some time, and
And that's also true of number 3 here, an ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville, Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, accepting Grandwood Court, same situation.
very good. Any questions about either of those, council?
Mr. Hugus, they meet our specifications?
Yes.
He is answering the affirmative, if anyone's not hearing that. Council, anything else? Very good. So what we're going to do now, council, I'm going to take a 5-minute recess. And then what we'll do is we'll come back and we will go back into our budget hearing. And we'll come back with Mr. Hugus for our Public Works Engineering, Building, and Community Development, Mr. Joe Sedlak for Human Resources, and Mr. Little for the Manager's Office, and Mayor and Council. So for now, this meeting is in recess. We are out of recess. We have just gone through the majority of our agenda-setting meeting, and now we are back into our budget hearing, our second budget hearing, and we are at Human Resources. Mr. Sedlak, welcome.
Thank you. I'm here to talk about our insurance rather than human resources, which is page 125 of your budget.
125.
You mean 25?
125 of expenditures, if you want to.
Right.
Depends how you look at the budget. I asked Mark Forrester, who's our broker with Nova Insurance Services, to come tonight, and he's handed you our premiums and some expectations of premiums for this year. So he's going to go through each and let you know what went up and what went down and what stayed flat. It's not too bad, actually. And Mark can take it from here.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council, Mr. Little, Mr. Ratcher. I want to thank Mr. Sedlak for his hard work during this time, because around this time of year he gets a lot of emails from our office, questions, and I want to thank him personally for that. It's a lot of work that he does. You'll see the figures in front of us. The PMA McKee Risk Management Renewal offer on the property, in the marine, general liability, employee benefits liability, commercial auto, crime, excess liability, public officials liability, employment practices liability, and law enforcement liability. Most of those premiums renewed flat or a little bit lower than the expiring. Higher on the vehicle coverage due to 11 more vehicles this year than last year, and that's a direct result of the increased premium on that end of it. Flat renewals under crime, excess liability, property, inland marine, general liability, and also public officials liability. Under law enforcement liability, there's a national trend of increased premiums from the insurance carriers. The insurance market is very disrupted right now on the law enforcement liability. It has absolutely nothing to do with the Monroeville police or that exposure. In fact, your police department does an outstanding job on their policies and procedures, always keeping on top of it, updating it constantly, and also on top of training and education, where they do a fantastic job on that end of it. So your police department has nothing to do with this. It's a national trend of increased premiums, and the carriers are taking a much harder position on premiums and on terms that they are offering. And we did reach out to some other carriers on the law enforcement liability, and this was still the best coverage and best terms that we were able to.
Changes, Mark? On the coverage?
On the coverage is going to be the same. So there was no change in the coverage or the terms, and the same coverage as the expiring. It's just increased premium, again, due to those national trends on the law enforcement liability, and really we're going to have to deal with that for at least the short term under those policies. Many municipalities were hit much harder, and many insurance carriers actually exited the market and not even offering renewal terms for their municipalities. So
I assume they look at the police department's history and things like that.
yes, excellent history here, and that certainly helped.
Yeah.
Right, that's just my.
Yeah, there's an application we fill out every year concerning the police department, and Doug and I go through it. It's like a checklist, so they're aware of all of our things, so.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so those are the renewal figures. We had to estimate some premiums because the underwriters for the different policies do not have the premiums yet. But under the cyber liability, there's also some disruption in that market because of cyber trends nationally, again, with claims nationally that have happened on the cyber and hacking, et cetera. But we're anticipating a small increase there, but that's a small premium relative to the rest of the package
And
policy.
this is one Mr. Poach is concerned
Yeah.
about. Are we covered well for that?
Yes, you'll see, and we'll talk about the coverage on the next page, but your cyber liability is $1 million limit of liability. Yes, so you're good there. And that's the coverage that we added 2 years ago. Under the workers' compensation, better news is that we had a rate and experience mod decrease, so the premium actually went down on the workers' compensation insured through Encova Insurance. And the mod had a slight decrease. The experience mod is your claims that occur over the past 5 years, and an experience mod is developed. There's going to be more experience of claims this year, so this time next year we might be having a different conversation as far as that experience mod. But for this year and for this year's budget, the premium actually went down. The Monroeville EMS policy, the work comp policy, just strictly from payroll increase, so there was a little premium increase there. And then on the volunteer fire companies, the property and liability coverage, that's an estimate because we don't have those premiums in yet, but there should be only a modest increase there on that part of the policy. The next page is the limits on the policy that you have for each line of business. And then the next page is the workers' comp breakdown, expiring versus renewal, and you'll see where those rates decreased and the experience mod decreased, resulting in the lower premium for this coming year. Always trying to reach out to the insurance carriers to see what loss control. On the following page, you'll see the loss control for 2022. Always trying to tap all the resources that they have that we can utilize to keep claims down, to minimize the risk for the municipality. So for McKee, we have distracted driving courses that we're going to be setting up for 2022, defensive driving courses on the EMS and fire side through VFIS, virtual classes, and then also in-person classes. They think they can start back up for this coming year on the EVDT, which is Emergency Vehicle Driver Training class, which they've been very good at providing over the years. They also provide traffic incident management courses, intersection safety courses, and we will implement those in the updated classes on that as well. Annual certification of the safety committee. Joe is instrumental in, for the past 30+ years, recertifying the municipality for the safety committee. That provides a 5% discount on the work comp policy, and you'll see this year's safety committee credit is about $20,000. So that takes time and effort, and you have to have regular monthly meetings and keep minutes and keep track of that, but that pays off over time. In the short run, it certainly pays off getting that credit every year. So that's a $20,000 savings right there. The insurance company on the cyber insurance is in the process of doing a cybersecurity analysis and working with your team internally to make sure that you're as well protected as possible, and it's a tremendous value added that they provide to constantly test your cybersecurity, and the details, Tina and Joe have those details. So, and then under the workers' comp, safety and loss control, they provided the insurance company provided a loss control survey in October and provided that to the municipality, those recommendations, and those will be followed up with in 2022. So you do your best to minimize your claims. Things happen, but you guys do a great job of taking advantage of all these loss control opportunities, and it certainly pays off in the long run. So pretty much that's a summary. I know you have a busy night, but certainly glad to answer any questions that you might have.
Just one piece that, again, first of all, thank you for the breakdown. I'm not sure I recall getting that as detailed before. Thank you so much.
Sure.
It explains a lot too. And then you got informed of our the cyber hygiene program that we do with Homeland Security, currently undergoing.
Yeah.
Just the references to that too, so
Yeah.
that's credit as well.
In fact, they have their own, Eric, they sent somehow they have a rating too.
Correct.
The insurance company, and Tina's
Take
going to
into
talk with them
consideration the
and see, because she was
CISA.
impressed by it actually, and how they
We
got
were
the
doing.
numbers. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Just, it's a lower key piece of it, but it's been ongoing now for almost 3 years. So.
Yeah, your rating is excellent. There's always some little thing, and this changes daily, as you know, in the cybersecurity world. But they're on top of it, and the insurance company's working closely with your people to do your best to protect the municipality.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Mark. Any other
you,
questions,
Mayor.
council?
Yeah, I have a question. On the third page here, 951, it says salesman. Can you qualify that for me? I don't think municipality had any salesmen.
I think it's us.
That's your code enforcement, the way they rate
Okay.
certain classes, instead of saying code enforcement, they say salesman, of course, it's not a salesperson or salesman, it's code enforcement.
Okay,
That's
thank
it,
you.
yeah. Mhm.
Very good. Excellent job.
Thank you.
Anything else? Mr.
That's it.
Sedlak?
That's
Very
it.
good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all.
Mr. Hugus, Public Works, Engineering, Building, and Community Development Departments.
That's a very thick file, Mr. Hughes.
I made some cheat sheets as usual, so you can get through this.
5 minutes, Paul.
5 minutes. Okay.
It's just for him to get set up.
Don't help him out, Tim.
We saved the best for last, right?
Right.
That's why Tim's going last.
There you go.
No, I'm just.
Brown noser. Thank you.
He'll come back to us, I'm sure.
You don't get one.
It might not be, I don't know, but Sharon and I are just down here, happy to be here, we're, on the job.
Thanks.
Yeah, we get another one over here. Before he comes back over. And I saved you signs too, so there you go. I should have first. 3-page cheat sheet.
Cheat sheets for you. Good evening. Okay, so in your cheat sheet packet, the 8.5 by 11 sheet that you see, we'll start with that. These are the departments that we'll be talking about. There's 20 of them. So the first column is the department number, the description, full-time employees, part-time employees, the 2022 budget and revenue, 2022 budget expense, the 2021 budget expense, and then the difference between 21 and 22. Sort of a quick glance there to see what we are doing, okay? The second sheet that you have is the organizational structure. Has everybody's names and department they're assigned to and what groups they're assigned to. So you can reference if you have any specific questions about that department. And the last 2 pages are a breakdown of, actually the first page, giving each department, and I only listed the items of changes. So if you go left to right again, you have the department, the specific line item, the description of that department, the revenue page number, the expense page number, and then the dollar amount. That dollar amount represents the change only. It's not the dollar amount of the request, it's the change to the budget. Okay? Any questions about the cheat sheet before we start?
No, sir.
Okay. So we'll start with 2300. The only items here is the building permits. Building permits are kind of a slippery slope. You're kind of subject to the applications that are submitted. So you kind of look at the past 5-year history, kind of got to feel what's going to come in next year. So I did raise the revenue of building permits by $10,000 because I see some things going to probably happen in the next year with building permits. Obviously, that's driven by big boxes, Evergreen Apartments, Fox Hill, or Fox Plan Apartments. The next grouping of apartments are going to be on Old William Penn Highway. We're also, you're talking about the Longhorn Steakhouse. We see some other developments on the horizon here coming also. So that's why I increased that dollar amount. Excuse me. The contract service fees, if it's in parentheses, that's a negative. Josie, I don't know if you know that or not. It's an accounting thing.
I
You got that?
heard
Okay.
something about
All
that,
right.
yeah.
And the reason that's that deduction of $16,000, that's because last year we went to a cloud-based system with our permit tracking and put tablets in all the inspectors' vehicles so they could work more efficiently from the field. So we had some cost to that last year. We will not have that cost this year for getting that set up. Any question about 2300? Okay, 2350 building and fire inspections, there's no changes to that. And let me just say this as just a general comment to all of these. These are only the line items that I can control. It does not include salaries and benefits, hospitalization, just because those are predetermined. I don't control, I can't control any of those. So these are only the line items that I can control. Building and fire protection or inspection, there's no changes. Under 3200, which is Superintendent of Public Works, again, there's a little bit of change to our scrap metal revenue from last year, and then there's the deduction from travel expenses, minimal. Any questions about that?
Nope.
Snow and ice control, there's a little bit more in the snow removal revenue because we got through our 5-year, what's the correct term, Tim, the 5-year, it was a Northern Pike project. We're not getting PennDOT money.
Agility program.
Agility program, thank you. We're through that, so now we get the PennDOT money for the state roads that we maintain. So we maintain a total of 20 miles of county and state roads, and we get reimbursed for those.
Paul, maybe you're gonna hit it down here somewhere else, but.
Go ahead.
Salt expense, it didn't go up?
No, we signed a contract last year, and so it should be staying the same. It's about
Oh,
80.
was that the COG purchase?
It's through the Shea cog.
Oh, shake.
And it varies. It does vary a little bit through the year, but not much. It's about $83 to $84 a ton is what we're paying for it.
And we're fully stocked at this point.
The dome is full, 6,500 tons of salt
Not
in the
that we want
dome.
to talk about that
Yeah,
now.
so it's,
We are ready.
we are ready. We're ready. Yeah, after tomorrow, we'll have a lot more trucks ready. You know, unfortunately, it's sort of a business decision with us because once you put the spreaders on the trucks, you sort of take them out of service to do more work. And so, you know, we have to, usually by Thanksgiving, I'd like to have everything ready to go, but, you know, we have some trucks outfitted, so if we get a quick snow, we'll be ready.
What did you say you were paying a ton?
$84 a ton.
Next item.
Street lighting, no change to that.
Now, I'm sorry, Mr. Hughes, was there any change, and I don't know if you have this answer, or if it's a Mr. Little question, the LED changes that are going on, if that impacts the cost that we get charged by Duquesne Light? Obviously, the energy consumption is going to go down on that, but I don't know if we ever got an answer on that. You know, Mr. Little?
I do not see the invoices, so I could not answer that.
No, I can't answer that right now either, if the invoices have gone down, because Jamie did a calculation on that about 3 or 4 years ago.
Yes, it's been several years.
Because we pay per fixture, per
That's
light.
Correct, the wattage.
It's not a set fee.
There's different wattage bulbs, so that's what you're paying for.
It doesn't fluctuate, though. It's based on the actual, whatever bulb is there, that's what we pay a monthly fee.
That's correct.
It's not it has nothing to do with
No.
energy consumption.
No, it's
Are the
based on
L-
the bulb.
But the LEDs may be cheaper? We don't know.
Yes, I mean, in theory, they're supposed to be, I just don't know if.
But does Duquesne
if
Light
that's-
charge us less? Or do they
Yes.
charge us the same amount?
I don't know.
Paul?
Yes.
Isn't it about $55 a light?
I can't answer that.
It's 109 to change.
To change.
109?
Yes.
109.
Oh, you mean to change the bulb out?
Yes.
Yeah, to change the bulb out, it's $109 per light.
But what do
We
they actually charge us per month per light?
That I don't know.
I thought it was 55.
I thought it was as well, but that should be changing with the LEDs.
Should go down.
Should be.
technology, Right.
I have a light through Duquesne Light. It's 250 watt sodium light, and it costs me $19 a month, and they maintain it.
Well, to
That's flat
this
rate.
point, we did have a call this past year, and again, we needed to continue to expand it. Essentially, the way I took it to understand, and Paul helped me if it is for an analogy, is Monroeville gets a bill for the lights, period.
Correct.
Okay, to do that. So the wattage and use, that's what we get. It's the bill. Then that bill ends up being reduced whenever we get allotments on LED. However, we're only allotted with so many with Duquesne Light at a certain time. And we have taken the advantage when other communities have not done that.
That's correct. We have taken advantage
We've
of
taken
that.
advantage to do that. So it's really, unlike our own individual lights for usages and things like that, it's a number.
No, I'm well aware of that, but it should go down as the mayor suggests, at least I
You
hope.
would think.
I
Well, that's something,
hope it
we're getting
goes
off
down.
track.
The more,
Let's-
as we add.
Add the LEDs.
As we add the LEDs that we're
Correct.
eligible to add,
Correct.
you know, to do that, it will go down. So I don't know that we ever finish the rest of that, but I know a number of individuals have asked me that question on that. So we're saving money when we're doing this. No, not, we save it, and then the number comes down. And the length of time it's on, off, it kind of doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, well, someone's saving money, but maybe it's not us.
Well, yeah, that's a good way, that is
Well-
a really good way to put it. It should, yeah, that's the best way to put it.
Point's
It's
well
not
taken.
us, that's right.
So, Mr. Hugus, let's move on with your budget. Sorry for getting us off track.
Yes, sir.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Paul.
Street maintenance, Department 001-3250. There was some minor changes in the expenditure. The main one, if you look at line item 430-239, steel, iron, and related metals, the reason the jump there of $30,000 is for guide rail. We have a significant amount of guide rail, and I know Tim and Josie are going to tell me right now that that's a capital expense. But we had put it in the operational because we have a significant amount of guide rail that needs to be changed. And that's why that dollar amount is in there.
Changed because updated or it's not functional?
Replaced.
Needs to be replaced.
Okay.
It is deteriorated,
Okay,
fallen over the hill, damaged by a vehicle, so forth.
very good.
Next item is anything for street maintenance.
Yep.
Okay, parks maintenance, 3260. I'll hit the big one here, which is the recreational equipment repair and maintenance. This sort of dovetails on what we talked about earlier in the year with the conditions of our neighborhood parks. The play equipment needs to be upgraded, the courts need to be upgraded, fences, basketball hoops. It's, we've neglected it for a while, and they need to be upgraded. You know, we went through this year and did Greenleaf Park, and it worked out very well. You know, we're maybe not doing a major rehab, but we need to be doing more in the parks, and that's why that dollar amount is in there.
Absolutely.
One
That's
question,
something.
Mr. Little, I requested that,
Yes,
look at Patton Heights, has that been done?
yes, we are in the process of doing that,
Very good.
yes.
I'm assuming there is a schedule, you're looking at all the parks,
Yes.
right? And evaluating all of the parks.
That's correct,
Very good.
we are.
Yeah, I think.
Sort of doing like we did the road system. We're looking at the park, seeing what needs to be done, which is the worst ones, and try to addressing those
Yeah,
systematic.
it's certainly a challenge
Yeah,
to do
it
it
is
all
a
at once.
challenge. It is, absolutely. And the court surfaces are one of the big things on the tennis courts and basketball courts is, you know, what do you do with those court surfaces? Because it's very expensive to do those, you know, so we're trying to find some alternative methods.
Very good.
Hey, Paul, I got a question, backup street maintenance on guide rails.
Yes,
When there's an accident, a car, truck goes through them, do we charge their insurance company?
if we get the insurance company's information, yes.
Okay.
A lot of times you don't get that.
The police don't have that insurance?
If they get it, sometimes you get uninsured vehicles, which is a lot of times what happens. So if we do get the insurance information, we do bill them, yes. It just doesn't always happen.
That's a good question. Thank you. Mr. Hugus. Next item.
Next item, signs and markings. Just some, you know, there's some increases here just because we do more of it. We're doing more painting, we're making more signs, going back to the sign pollution that we have. We're making more signs. That's why you see the increases in there. There are some decreases here through there also. Nothing significant.
We saved some money on Berkshire, at least.
We did. We did.
Next item.
Refuse collection, there's no changes to that. Status quo. Vehicle equipment and maintenance, you'll see an increase in motor vehicle parts. That's just because the cost of business is going up. You know, we've got the same problem as the rest of the world has with the supply of equipment, and when we get it, it's expensive. So we had to increase those costs.
As vehicles age, you gotta repair them more.
Right. Exactly.
What you need, the public needs to know
Bless you, bless you.
is if a car or a truck is 1-year-old or 40 years old costs the same money to repair them. Because it's old doesn't make it cheaper to put new parts on it.
Just makes it break down more often.
Next item, Mr. Hugus.
Okay. Recycling, no changes. I know that, Josie, you had sent an email about the annual recycling grant. We're still waiting on getting it, but it's gonna be the same.
Okay.
So it is in here, $2,500. That grant's usually around 20,000, so ultimately, it'll ultimately be about the same.
Okay.
Right. Animal control, no changes there. You'll see a lot of these have wearing apparel, minor adjustments to wearing apparel. That's a contractual thing with the new Public Works contract. Their apparel got up a little bit, so that's sort of across the board.
Very good.
Building and property maintenance. The larger item here is the $5,500 increase for the Historical Society. And that is mainly for the Old Stone Church. The Old Stone Church is starting to get tattered a little bit. It needs to be some repairs done to it, as well as the Macaulay House also. We still, in the capital budget, you'll see money for the bell tower at the Old Stone Church too.
Now, does the Historical Society assist with that in any way with fundraising?
As they can. I mean, they don't generate a lot of money, but
Okay.
they do try to help.
Okay.
Yes. And we did a little bit of repair at the Old Stone Church last winter, which they were very appreciative of. We fixed the lower level where a lot of for the wedding areas, for preparation, they were much appreciative of that. Community park. Again, the larger dollar amount in the community park is for the playground equipment. Same theory with the neighborhood parks. Now you got the community park. You're approaching 20 years old now, so it's time to do up some upgrades there. And my bigger concern with the community park is we're gonna have to start redoing the asphalt. If you think about the amount of asphalt that's in the community park, and a lot of it, you're talking about the asphalt for the parking lots, the access roads, and the walking trails. So there's a fair amount in those parks. Now this year, we rented a small paving machine this year, and we paved some of the neighborhood parks with our own manpower using the paving machine we had, which we're probably gonna do next year again. It was, economically, it was a good choice for us to do. The guys did a great job doing it, so we're probably gonna do that again this year.
And that's for parking lots and for
No,
paths,
we
or just
mainly
paths?
we did some spot repairs at the Public Works garage because the asphalt was very deteriorated, but we concentrated on the parks paths. We did all of Alpine Park, we did Greenleaf Park, and Overlook Park.
Okay. And there's quite a bit, if people don't think
Yes.
about it, there's not
Yeah,
only
when you
like
look
walking
at those-
trails, but also there's trails or paths that go to the swing sets and
Right.
to the different amenities, so.
And
quite a bit.
and if you sub that out to a third party, it would cost a lot just because it's, asphalt companies, time is money. They just want to put down a massive amount of asphalt. Where here you're doing 4 or 5 foot width paths and you're shuttling the asphalt to and from the machine. So it's very time consuming. So it's, for us to do it, it was a good idea.
Agreed. Next item.
Next item is community development. The major change there was a change in the revenue, the mechanical device tax, and that was mainly because during the pandemic, a lot of the places that had the small games of chance and/or poker machines, nobody was there, so a lot of places got rid of them. So there was a drop in the revenue there. Subject to change to see if they'll come back. Planning Commission, no changes. Zoning Hearing Board, no changes. On to the second page. Engineering, you'll see a lot of deductions, actually. Josie, those are the ones in parentheses, deductions.
Thanks.
Okay. A lot of deductions through there in the engineering.
The big one, the overtime pay?
Overtime pay, there was a big deduction in there, just, we kind of do that through another division. Instead of out of the engineering department, it comes out of a different line item. All right. Traffic signal maintenance, you'll see the big one there goes back to electricity. Actually, Jamie Story kind of looked at some of the traffic signal electricity bills and determined over the past few years the budget amounts were too low. So we had to increase that to cover the cost of the traffic signals.
Is this also, if we would choose to add more cameras, traffic cameras, that's not included in here?
Traffic cameras are powered by the signal, so yes.
But then the addition of the actual cameras, is that this budget, or is it police, or?
Be police.
Be police? The actual cameras, the inclusion of.
I could put all the signals in the police.
I know you could.
I mean,
You'd love to.
Doug gets all the
Chief's not
money.
here.
Doug gets all the money anyway, so it doesn't
You're
matter.
not doing too bad.
The power piece of it too.
Yes,
So
I
we're
mean,
adequate to, if
so
we do.
anything that comes from that service line, though,
Right.
it'll come out of that electricity, which will be that.
And we've looked, there's LED stoplights, traffic lights.
Yes. Yeah, we've tried to, I think we have just about everything converted to LEDs, except for Wingate Drive, which is on the slate to be replaced, and that's why we haven't converted that one over. But the majority of them are now LEDs.
Good. Yeah, because this would be different than what
Right.
Mr. Poach was talking about earlier. I mean, this is actually electricity, like usage.
Usage, right.
And the LEDs was a big difference, a big change for us with the traffic signals, because the LEDs use a lot less electricity, which means when the power goes out, the battery backups last a lot longer. Because if you have extended power outages, you don't have to put the generators back on there until the batteries. So we did have to start replacing some of the older batteries, first generation batteries. But the LEDs was a big deal with the less electrical draw. So, yeah, it's a good thing. So that was the big one with the electricity, and then the stormwater. Sort of going back to what Tara was saying, we kind of moved some monies around within the stormwater into their correct descriptions, so we didn't have to do any budget transfers. So that's why seems like there's a lot, but it was just moved from other accounts into the correct account.
And the very last line, that vehicle capital outlay, can you
Yes.
speak to that?
Yes, the difference there is that we had bought a new truck. It was delivered earlier this year. It was $510,000. So obviously that won't be there next year. That's why there's a negative number.
Very good.
Okay, so if you look at that, and again, I'll dovetail off of what Mr. Fulkerson said. You know, we're a group of about 70. I appreciate everything they do.
Thank you, sir.
Great. Nice job, Mr. Hughes.
Thank you.
Council, any other questions for Mr. Hughes at this point?
Oh, was your capital items in there? Or should we-
Did you distribute my capital items, Tim?
Well, a lot
That's
of
about
it,
another
yeah.
3-hour discussion.
Thanks, Ron.
Well, no, we can, I mean, a lot.
No, we don't have to do it today.
Oh, wait, but the highlighted capital items I went through in my budget message, and 3 of them, or 4 of them are, we have two 10-ton trucks coming in and 2 garbage trucks.
Correct.
That's 4 items. That's the big line share that, and you go through the budget message and it outlines that. Now, they're not gonna come in, what, Paul, 18 months?
16 to 18 months.
16, 18 months.
Right.
So,
From when?
So-
From when?
When we order them, which,
about 6 weeks ago.
well, I haven't ordered them yet. I mean, we're still working through some details of that. You know, but you're still looking at 16 to
Are
18
these
months
road
deliveries.
department trucks?
2 refuse trucks and 2 dump trucks.
So that bill will come due, not actually in.
Whenever they
due,
get here.
In '23, most likely. But I told Paul, order 'em.
I can't.
Cost of running a
I can't believe
railroad.
They take that long to.
You know,
The chassis, they're all Mack chassis. The chassis are 12 months minimum. And then once you get them, it doesn't matter if it's a refuse body or a dump body, you're still looking at 3 to 4 months for those bodies.
And we're just.
Nothing we can do, we can talk about it all day, it is what it is.
You
Just
gotta
so
have
everyone else
it.
understands.
It's what we do, it's one of the primary jobs we do, you gotta have it.
Mr. Hugus, as far,
I was just gonna ask, Tim, I can't recall if you said it in your message, I think you did, but the other, the refuge trucks you're gonna replace are how old? The current ones?
Yeah, they were.
They're, just so everyone understands. Is there a policy?
I don't know if I had that in my budget message, I think that,
Well, we asked and talked about in a conversation or something, but
I actually have my bar chart here.
I knew there was something.
So the refuse trucks that are being replaced,
20 and 22 years old respectively.
Right.
Those are the 10 tons, I did that.
they're the refuse trucks are 22, I'm sorry. The mileage, they have just about 100,000 miles each. One has over 100,000, the other one is very close. And they are 13 to 14 years old, those two. They're back to back. Yeah. And the dump trucks are 22 and 23 years old, soon to be 24 years old. Yeah.
Just so everyone understands. What'd you say, Nick, or somebody said, cost of doing business, railroad?
And
Absolutely.
I said that.
Well, the one that's getting repaired right now is one of them that's gonna be replaced, and the mechanics told me, they says it will not pass another year. The frame on it is very bad, and they said it's not gonna pass again.
Absolutely.
and Mr. Hugus, for capital, are those your priorities? Are there any other,
Well, there's a whole lot of priorities.
so, well, wish list versus priorities?
There's needs and wants,
Needs and
as my
wants.
boss tells me. Can we go back to the operational real quick? The one item, I don't know if Tim's gonna mention this in his, but operationally speaking, the one item that really affected us this year was summer students.
Yeah, I'm good.
In the past, we typically would get at least 10 summer students in Public Works. We would divvy them up to the community park and within the Public Works Department. We had 3 this year. And the main reason was wages.
Well, I was getting ready to say, you took the words out of my mouth.
Right.
I mean, you can go to any of these little gas stations, they're paying $14, $15 an hour. We better jack ours out. That's just a
Well, I
suggestion.
mean, we can do that, and I'll talk about it when I have it here.
Yeah, because it wasn't that we didn't hire, we just didn't get the applications.
We had several, and then once they got their other job, they told us, we're not coming in, because, they're just about making money. They don't care about the benefits. They just want to make the money, and
So, yeah, we should be-
a lot of them want the landscape companies. They just made a lot more money.
And that'll be,
Mr.
that's in the
Williams
fee
brought up
schedule.
a good point. Murraysville's paying their summer help $17 an hour.
$17 an hour.
Mhm.
We better think about raising it up
We have to.
substantially.
Yeah.
I won't be here, but I think it's a good idea.
What is it now? Is it-
There's
What's
no
that?
thinking, we gotta do it.
No.
I'm all for
Ours
it,
is-
but
yeah,
you
12.
and I won't be here, Ron.
Yeah, currently it's 12 we pay them, so we should be looking at changing the
We
fee
raised it
schedule.
from 10
Adding $5 an hour.
2-3 years ago.
I'd say you raise them up to at least
I mean,
15,
first of all,
16 bucks an hour.
it's about getting them help. Second of all, it's employing our residents' kids.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Very good. So we can make that happen in the fee schedule. And it'd be in the budget. So is there actually, what line item is that fall under, Mr. Little?
Any more questions for me?
Yeah, you're okay, back to, this is in your operational budget, is the paving?
Operational budget is not in the paving.
No, that's capital.
Or the paving is not in the operational. It's in the capital. But I will touch on that real quick, because Tim gave me a figure of $1 million, which I will tell you is absolutely not enough, because we usually do $1.5 million. And usually we get the program together, because we reverse engineer it into the million, then we bid it out, and then you go, oh, make it to $1.5 million. And it's hard to put a $500,000 on top of that, because you've already planned your program out. So if you're gonna make it $1.5 million, make it $1.5 million.
That's something to be discussed. I know that we deliberated over that, and then the part of the issue too, last time, was the prices that came in, the deals we got, we were
Yes.
we jumped at.
It was worth it.
It was worth.
Well, yeah, but the price of oil isn't down now, it's going up, but when we did that, those 2 years we did that, oil was. that's
Right,
why we-
so your oil index is you know,
Actually,
everybody.
we doubled the budget.
We did 3 years ago, we moved,
Yeah,
it
2
was
years
$1.5
ago.
million, we moved it to 2.
Well, you either spend it now or you're gonna spend more later, so.
Oh, no, I mean.
Well, I'm just telling you, just the same thing I said 2 years ago, is the residents want their roads fixed. It's their savings account, double it, put it in there.
I'm totally in favor of that.
I'm in favor of adding more to it. It's definitely one of the main complaints or concerns that we get. And if it is a situation, actually, I know Mr. Hughes
Tim, I
alluded
love
to
your
it, that
smile.
we do this where we double this up, where we
Yes.
come back, we say it's
Right.
this, and then 6 months from now.
budgets. We have a budget 1A and a budget 1B. We put all the budget together from August and September, and that's okay. I mean, that's what the process is all about. And then we got to change numbers around, and my budget was, you know.
The problem,
No, that's
the
good.
problem we have from a logistical standpoint
If
is
they know
this.
you take money out of the fund balance, and they know where it's going to something.
Yeah,
they want,
it's money
like
well spent.
roads.
It really is.
From my perspective is this, is it's, you know, we could add that money onto the contract, and the contractor will be more than happy to do it. The problem we have is that we always notify the utility companies ahead of time, so if they gotta fix their water line, gas line, sanitary lines, they have time to do that. So we're not doing like we did this year and had to wait till last week and pave the McKinney plan because we were waiting for Will Penn Joint to put a new water line in. We need to get ahead of that curve and let the utility companies know so we can get it done in a more efficient time.
And some of those, sometimes at the behest of the state or anything else, we lose control of our scheduling because there's so many other factors. Didn't we not run into a delay on the Route 22 project with some things as well? That was utility related, I think underneath Cochrane.
I'm not following you.
Okay, maybe I'm confused with it then
Okay.
too, but there was a delay also out of our control.
Well, does anybody on council really have a problem?
Not in the
doubling
least
them,
bit.
going from 1 million to 2 million?
Not in the least bit.
I don't.
I don't think so as far as current council here, but once again, we're not voting on it, but as far as moving that into the budget, and then that'll be
Well,
what
and I
we vote
realize, and
on.
I said Ron and I
Yeah.
won't be here, but I can't imagine.
Well, you'd be here to
new
approve the
coun-
budget.
Yeah, but again, why would, the new council even change that? I mean, it's their money.
Well, they
I
probably
agree with
won't.
Ron.
Yeah,
It's
We
the
have to do our
taxpayer
part
money.
first.
right. No, I think it's money well spent.
Yeah.
Okay,
I agree.
Mr. Hugus, great job.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then council, last presentation for our second budget hearing, Mr. Little, manager's office, and mayor and council.
You got 2 minutes, Tim.
Nothing changed, right? I got it.
Page 9 in the expenditures. First one is your salaries, which doesn't change, it's under the borough code, 25,500 for mayor and council. The second line item, 40115, let me get on the page here myself, here, page 9. That is the salaries of temp employees, which, that should be $40,000. I have it in my memo as 40, and it didn't get changed in there. I do have sheets to change in that, but we'll give that to you when we make all the changes in the budget, as we were talking about with the road program.
Well, we're talking about increasing that to 10 and the wages, right?
Well, in the budget book, it's 20,000, but in my memo, it's 40. I meant to have 40. Now, why that wasn't changed, maybe it was me, and when I was working on it 2 months ago, maybe I thought I put it in, I didn't, you get distracted, that could be. But I wanted to put it, we had it up there to 72,000 in past years, and we had it at 20 because of the pandemic. Now, I increased it to 40,000 for the exact same reason that we're all talking about here. Now, do you want to leave it at about 40,000? That's about 8 summer help employees. Now, if you want to increase, that's your pleasure. You want to increase
I
it?
think we want to increase it to 10, and I think we want to take their salaries up to 17.
I'm in favor, 100% in favor of that.
I think so.
Well, let's talk about, because we can always talk about the actual wages, but we gotta, because it might also depend on how many people we want. I know we have to have probably the total figure in there, but as far as the dollar
The
amount,
man was standing there asking for 10 without saying it.
10?
You wanna-
Well, and you
He said he
can't
put
have
five.
just, you got some administrative, I mean, don't you
He
want
has a-
still a little bit of summer help up here?
Yeah, I mean,
You said
I don't have a problem with that. I mean, we budgeted it, so if you look in 18 and 19, we spent 81,000 and 74,000 respectively. We budgeted each of those years $72,000. And then we kicked it back, and the pandemic was a big reason why we did. But I increased it back to about 40,000, and if you want to increase it back to 70,000,
Is that enough?
well,
Maybe
70,000
kick it up
is
a little
pub,
bit more,
that gave us about 24 employees.
yeah, but at what salary level? though?
Yeah, well, exactly, that's gonna reduce the number.
You can take it up to 30 employees, and if you don't raise the salaries, you're not gonna get any applications.
You're gonna get 3 again.
But, I mean, we should back engineer this a little bit too, because if you're talking about increasing it to $17 an hour, and you're talking about, hiring 30 employees, you're looking at $100,000.
No. $17 an hour and take it down to 10 or 12.
Well,
10 or
he
12.
needs 10, but he gotta give a couple to the admin too, though.
That's my 12.
Well, there you go. Oh, shut up.
Are you saying 12
Oh,
workers or dollars per hour? What are you saying?
no. 12 employees, summer employees at $17 an hour.
Okay, 12 employees at $17 an hour. Okay.
10 for public works or parks, whatever you wanna call it, and 2 for administration.
Well, at this point, we don't have to say that point.
I think we
Because what if-
should, we're in that process, I think let's just let it roll.
But what I'm saying, what if you get 12 that just want to do public works and no one does it at,
Well, that's true.
It is much.
Then so be it.
I mean,
So I don't think, but I guess what I'm saying is I don't think we have to classify them at this point. I think
Well,
we
what
can say,
about the $17 an hour? I think we leave it that.
I think that's,
I would say we need to give each council member maybe 2, so that would take it to 14 employees if they so desire to do that.
And
That's
a
a good
mayor
idea.
needs a couple.
what about the mayor? Well, as long as the second ward's taken care of.
Yeah, they take care of it, okay,
I wasn't looking
Why don't you
at
do
it.
16 employees and then reduce the hourly rate down to 15 or 16?
I'd say keep it at 17.
Well, let's look at whatever,
I don't think
what
you
are
have
we
to
in
give-
competition?
I don't think you have to give each council person 2 people. Hire 12 people, $17 an hour.
Well, let's,
Call it a day.
well, I think maybe Mr. Poach,
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say, is what's the hourly rate that we're in the biggest competition for?
as far as summer jobs in
Summer
Monroe.
Yeah,
17.
and you want to get the kids here.
I mean, I agree that kids wanna call their councilman to ask for a job, I understand.
No, I think the point Mr. Poach is trying to make is what's McDonald's paying, what's
Yeah,
what are landscaping companies
They're
paying.
paying good.
Yeah, it's 15, 14, so that's a quick consideration, double check with HR can do a quick, just look at our normal business around in those jobs. And then 17 sounds attractive to me. My gut tells me that when you walk past starting salaries and wages for those things that are posted at every job place you walk in, the Target.
Yeah, but do you want the kids? I mean, we do a little bit different work, and again, I agree with Ron, we're paying our own kids.
Well, not only that, but Paul was hurt for the help. I mean,
Yeah, I agree. He
Just
can use
simply
help.
in public works and grass cutting and those kind of jobs that go on too, so, yeah.
Well, my concern is always, and I talked to
Okay,
Paul.
if you hired 16 employees at $17 an hour,
I just did that, yeah.
it's $136,000.
Done. I'm good.
Yeah, that's where I was at.
Is that where you?
You said,
Came to the same number.
Mr. Little, I'm sorry, you said 130,000?
136,000, that's a little down and dirty, that's $136,000.
So we're going from $40,000 to 136.
You had $100,000. Wrong.
You added about $100,000, yeah.
I'm good.
If it's the competition,
That's a big jump.
That's a huge.
Yeah, but it's our kids. It's their money.
Our community kids.
Council wants to do that, that's.
Well, that's what I meant.
it's around 200 and some, for those numbers of kids, 207 a day, times 8 hours, times 100 days. 100 days of roughly employment, I'm guessing. I might have come to 136. It's usually about 100 days of employment.
10 weeks.
Yeah, well, I figured it out to be about
It's 10 weeks.
quarter, 500 hours.
Well, let's
It might
keep,
not be, it might be less than that.
let's keep in mind for everyone, we're not voting. We could all say that right now, and that can be placed in the budget. But when we actually vote on the budget, this can be modified, just so everybody's clear.
That's budget number 3. No, it's not.
Third budget is
No,
good.
it's,
Well, I think it's good to leave it there. That's just my opinion.
Certainly. But just so everybody knows that we're not necessarily voting on it,
No,
making
we're
that
not
official.
voting, I'm just giving you an opinion.
No, this is what you're instructing me to put into the final budget.
Exactly.
Yes.
Thank you. I just wanted
That
to,
you're gonna vote on.
Yes.
All right,
correct.
okay. Okay, general office
Wait,
supply.
I just have one comment on that.
Sure.
Last meeting, I told you all that he budgeted $120,000 for heart monitors that we no longer need,
There they go.
paid for.
124,
It was in the.
$120,000 in heart monitors that we no
capital
longer.
oh,
You
okay,
don't need-
all right,
yeah.
okay.
But that was in capital,
That was,
right?
that was
Good job,
capital,
Ron.
that was an
Yeah,
offer.
left pocket, right pocket, I mean, you know.
Less to transfer into capital. All right, general office supplies, that's still about $700. Your food is still about $900, and all the things I highlighted that goes into these costs, that's there for your review. Traveling expenses for council, that all depends on how many people go to the Seven Springs conference. Dues membership, Pennsylvania Boroughs Association, the COG, and other dues and memberships. I've reduced that according to the history. That has decreased somewhat. Why it's decreased, I don't know. Seminar expenses, again, that's for the ALOM conference, as I just mentioned, and additional seminars, the COG banquet, that's about $5,500. That hasn't changed. Gifts, grants, that's mostly the lion's share of that is for the fireworks. And half of that, as you well know, we get from the Conventions Visitors Bureau. And it's also for the Memorial Day Parade, which is budgeted in there at $5,000, and also for a sponsorship up at the ALOM for their hospitality suite. Any questions on the mayor and municipal council budget?
Yep.
No, sir.
Okay, municipal managers, the next page, page 11. The big thing there is the salary for an assistant manager has been put in there. And also is in there my salary, Joe's salary, and Dara's salary, and also the receptionist, Holly is in there. General office supplies stays at about $5,000. The food is for the Christmas lunch. It's also for the cleanup day that we have here in the office. We get a lunch here in the office. We have a cleanup day here in the office where everybody goes through their files and cleans out their files. Traveling expenses, that's me. Yearly mileage and parking expenses, I haven't really used that much. I think I'm due to turn one in.
Does that cover you?
Yeah, that covers me. Yeah, that's no problem. Dues and memberships, for me, that's for Association of Pennsylvania Municipal Managers, Western Pennsylvania, PELRAS, and American Planning Association. 401, 450 is for contracted services. That's still with the municipal code, that annual E-code. That's for the update to it, and it's also for the maintenance on that, which is about $1,200 a year. So that only comes to $10,625. Seminar expenses, that's for me going to Seven Springs International City Managers Conference, PELRAS. Joe and I go to PELRAS. We didn't last year, obviously, because of the pandemic. That's the labor conference, big labor conference up at Penn State. And it depends on the attendance at these conferences. Depending on a pandemic, the pandemic doesn't seem to be a variable on that. It may, but sometimes I go, sometimes I don't go. Office furniture, I reduced that $1,000. I did reduce $1,000 for office equipment and small repairs. That's for carpet cleaning and replacement of file cabinets. That went to the CIP, to the Capital Improvement Program. Miscellaneous magazines, books, that's about $800 a year. Any questions on that?
No, sir.
Okay, on the revenue, that's on the revenue, page 26, and I usually don't put that in there because it really isn't. You go to page 26 on the revenue part. I just put that in there to show you where Josie and I decided to put the money, the $1.432 million we got for the ARPA money from the feds. That's where that is right there. Okay, we also have $100,000 bond proceeds and that's from the Finance Authority we get. Now, I don't know how much longer that's going to continue, because UPMC hasn't floated a bond with the authority for a while now. I don't know how much longer that's going to be. And also $3,000 from the sponsorships for the Jackson Sedlak cleanup day. And any questions on the revenue there? Okay, one thing I don't have in my memo, I just wanted to briefly go over on page 27 of the expenditures is our debt service, just to remind you how much we have dropped there. And I talked about that at my budget message in October. You can see there we've gone down from 3.1 to 1.4 because we restructured our bonds, and that's kind of smoothed them out, and I think that's a very good thing that we did. Any questions on that?
Nope.
Okay, page 19 is legal services. We have the police contract coming up, but I did only budget $20,000 in there, and as I rethought that when I was writing this memo I wrote maybe about 2 months ago, I'm thinking that should be increased because we have the police contract coming up here. And
What do you think would be a fair number there, Tim?
well, I think, good question.
From previous contracts.
Let me back up a little bit here. The process of going through the police contract with needing outside labor counsel, Campbell Durant, because this is what they specialize in. But if we would go to arbitration, and hopefully we won't, but a lot of that cost in actuality wouldn't come to fruition until '23. So maybe the beginnings of something like that, a preliminary meeting with Campbell Durant. I'm thinking, I don't know if it's going to be 20,000 or not. It's a crapshoot. You just don't know. They may be doing some preliminary gathering of information they do in their office and giving us comparisons of other
Would
municipalities.
it be wise to raise it up a little bit, though?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of talking with you guys and talking to myself. I'm thinking maybe I should have raised it up, but then I'm thinking if we would go to arbitration, hopefully the majority of that cost wouldn't be till '23.
No, but I'm just talking about initially, though. You think just what you groundwork, if you will.
Yeah, maybe $5,000, maybe, just to be on the safe side.
I think do it then.
But as far as regular for Bob and stuff, all that has stayed the same. That's up to councils, how they want to handle that.
What, legal services?
What?
Did you say outside legal services?
On our legal services, yeah.
Like that.
Okay, in the last part of it is on page 97, the expenditure, and what's contained, the biggest thing is contained is the transfer to capital, and that is $3.9 million. Now, with increasing the road program $1 million, that'll go up.
4.9 million.
So, and I'm not saying it's not money well spent, it is, but that's a big jump.
That's okay.
It's a big jump. I mean, we do have a healthy fund balance, but we want to keep it healthy too.
Yeah.
We do.
I
We
mean,
do.
but
I
we
don't
also.
want to kill it, I just want to put it towards what I think the
No, I-
residents want
I
to do.
agree.
And I agree with Ron.
Any questions? I mean, I think that's basically about it. Most of you guys up here know, I mean, you've gone through this for 8 years, and so you kind of know these numbers, you know the categories and everything. Any other questions at all about anything?
Council, any other discussion of budget issues at this point? We combined 2 of our meetings here, so reports of our officials here and our staff. Mr. Ratcher, do you have anything for this evening?
Nothing, but can't wait.
Okay, there, very good. Mr. Little, anything else for this evening?
The only thing on there is that there's 2 properties that the Tri-Cog Land Bank is looking at to acquire, and I always like to present that publicly, even though I don't have to, but present it publicly to you, just so you're aware of it.
And you can talk about that on Tuesday?
I could, yeah.
I think Tuesday would be just fine for that.
Sure, yeah, I can do that.
But the good news is the land bank is moving forward and
Hey,
acquiring
yeah.
properties.
It's working.
It's
Yeah.
working. It's working. Thank you. Josie, anything this evening?
No, nothing.
Very good. No one is here to comment on, to offer public comment on the budget hearing. So we just wanted to address that for the record. And just our reports of our council members. Mr. Poach, anything this evening?
For this evening, not so much, as well, just thanks to the staff and the people who've been working on the budget. It's a difficult task. Well done. Thank you so much, and all the best to our colleagues that couldn't make it this evening for various reasons. I hope everyone feels better, and we'll see them all on Tuesday.
Very good. Mr. Harvey?
Just the same sentiments as Mr. Poach said, and for those of you that don't know, the Center Road Turnpike Bridge is open.
Okay.
Good news. Good announcement there, Ross.
Fine.
And I just wanted to
What do you think,
congratulate
Liz?
Mayor Griesbach on his election for another term.
Thank
Joe Hizzy, who's going to take the council seat of Ward 1, Bob Stevenson for Ward 3, Mike Adams for Ward 5, and Dan Biondo for Ward 7. Congratulations to all of them.
Dennis, yes.
That's it. Now, the long report I'll give to you.
Very good. Mr.
Ditto on what Ron said. There's no sense saying it all over, so.
Mr. Williams?
Nothing this evening.
Very good. And I'll echo what my colleagues said, and I just want to seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All right.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you and good night. We are adjourned.
Tuesday.